The Night Owls is a surveillance unit.
Copy that.
You do not hunt down.
New series of The Night Manager.
I think Teddy has smuggled arms into Colombia.
That's your chance to be a snake in their garden.
Welcome to Colombia. You are not the one in control here.
Starring Tom Hiddleston.
Something's not right.
The Night Manager.
Why are you really here?
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
When you're cozied up on the sofa, when the drama's got you totally hooked, when you're completely engrossed in what's about to happen. Hey, did you eat all these?
Oh, sorry, didn't notice.
Go on, there's more in the kitchen. Nothing brings us together like great TV. And a TV licence covers you to watch all TV channels, plus BBC iPlayer, so you can make the most of those long dark nights. Search TV licence together.
I'm Professor Noel Fitzpatrick, and as a vet, I know you want the best care for your animal companion. Pet insurance can help, but you need to choose wisely as not all policies are the same. Pet Plan aim to pay claims quickly and without a fuss, and that's one reason why so many vets work with them.
Get your pet the best veterinary care. Save 10% on new policies when you insure at petplan.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Fitz Media is an appointed representative of Pet Plan Limited.
This season, I want to see us have a real shot. Want to see us at full strength. Want a bench that gives us options. Want to get some momentum. Want to do it on a cold, wet night in November. Want to be top at Christmas. Want to beat them on Boxing Day. Want to go ahead in January. Want to put the league table on the group. Want to hear them say, can they do it this year? Want to listen to their doubters. Want to prove them all wrong. Look them in the eye and say, want to bet? Bet Fred. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard on another big weekend across Scottish football. Martin O'Neill is back at Celtic and kicks off his third spell in charge at home to Dundee United. Fourth goes to fifth as Motherwell visit Hibs. You've got Livy, Kilmarnock and St Mirren Falkirk making up the top flight card. Rangers have new signings pending and injury woes ahead of the trip to Pittodrie tomorrow. I'm Gordon Duncan, and joining me in the studio you have Gordon Dalziel, Cammy Bell and Hugh Keevins.
Andrew McLean has cornered the market in drama at Celtic Park. Celtic's last two games, Motherwell, Rangers. 5 goals conceded, 6 points dropped. Martin O'Neill is back. The back four is back. Most important of all, Nancy's not coming back. Roger Hanna, meanwhile, has monopolised the world of glamour. Hibs versus Motherwell at Easter Road, the game of the day for purists. But David Friel and Fraser Wishart, they have tension at their games. If St Mirren and Kilmarnock lose today, they are both in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah, it may be cold outside, but I'm sure the football's going to warm us up, Gordon. I'm looking at fixture list today. There's a lot of brilliant games there. Exciting games. Celtic Park, all eyes on Martin O'Neill's return as well. Hibs and Motherwell must be the game of the day. Absolutely brilliant. St Mirren, Falkirk, Livingston, Kilmarnock. Certainly one of those teams need a result. And then you're looking at tomorrow's games. Aberdeen Rangers, Dundee Hearts, all to play for.
Some absolute crackers today again. Celtic Park, there'll be a lot of action there. And then you look at the Hibs Motherwell game. I think that is definitely, as the guy said, game of the day, but certainly one that I'm looking at. Being a former Kilmarnock player, is that Kilmarnock game with Neil McCann in the dugout for his first game as well.
Strap yourselves in, guaranteed the drama and controversy, I'm sure, at some point across the afternoon. That's what Scottish football specialises in. It's been quite the week off the pitch. Let's see what on the pitch can provide between now and 6 o'clock. We'd love you to get involved all afternoon. You can send us tweets and messages at Clyde SSB. And of course, this is always the place to be on a Saturday afternoon for getting your football opinions across. So I'll give you the nod later when the phone lines are open. and we'll work through some of the week's biggest talking points. For now though, let's go straight to Celtic Park. It's always fascinating. 2:05 on a Saturday afternoon. You wonder which players have been picked and haven't been picked by your team, but surely an extra level of scrutiny on this one, because quite incredibly, Martin O'Neill takes charge of Celtic for the first time, for the third time, and it is Dundee United to come to town, watched by Andrew McLean.
Yeah, there will be documentaries made and books written about what, quite frankly, has been a ridiculous season in Scottish football, and today it's just another significant page of that story. Celtic starting their fourth managerial stint of the season, and we're not even halfway through January. Martin O'Neill, as you say, back in the dugout for the second interim spell of the season, for his third spell in total, and I'm sure there's probably a bit of relief and comfort among the fans coming here today, but also the players as they look to get back on track. O'Neill's been tasked with not only trying to stop that rot of 6 defeats in 8 games, but also bringing back that form that he had in his first interim spell in charge. He may not have brought that sort of fast-flowing, all-action style that you'd expect from an Ange Postecoglou team or a Brendan Rodgers team at their peak, but one thing that Martin O'Neill brought, I should say, is wins. That is the most important thing, and that is exactly what Celtic need to get back to. So the question is, how long will it take Martin O'Neill to get back to that? Will they be able to do it today against Dundee United, or will it take a bit of time to revert away from what Wilfried Nancy was doing with this Celtic side? They're up against a Dundee United side that were one of the beneficiaries of the Wilfried Nancy era. They picked up 3 points the last time the two teams met at Tannadice, in a game where Celtic missed a host of chances, but they desperately need to get back on form themselves, especially after that defeat in the Dundee derby last weekend. Now to the all-important teams, and Celtic not playing a back three, as you can imagine today. 4 changes for Martin O'Neill: Ralston, McCowan, Negrin and Kenny all out. Araujo, Scales, Hatate and Tinekti coming back in straight from AFCON. So it's Kasper Schmeichel in goal once again for Celtic. The back 4: Julian Araujo, Austin Trusty, Liam Scales and Kieran Tierney. The midfield 3: Callum McGregor, Arne Engels and Rio Hatate, with Yang and Sebastian Tinekti either side of Daisen Maeda, who leads the line. The substitutes: Sinisalo, Negrin, McCowan, Kenny, Bernardo, Murray, Forrest, Donovan and Ralston. 4 changes as well for Jim Goodwin in Dundee United: Yovu, Esselink, Fata and Waters dropping out. Chevet, Graham, Namo and Sturton come in. So it's Dave Richards in goal. The back 3: Fichko Chevet, Ross Graham and Christian Carrett says it'll be David Namo and Will Ferry as the wing-backs. Craig Sybil, Panchut Kamara and Lucas Stevenson in the midfield, with Owen Sturton supporting Zach Sapsford up top. The substitutes for the away side today: Adams, Cleo Harding, Eskison, Fata, Yovu, Moller, Strain, Trapanovsky and Waters.
Hugh, Martin O'Neill is back, and that's what he's chosen today.
Well, you know, the whole season for Celtic has been a shambles, and Martin O'Neill is there to bring stability. He's there to reunite fans with club, but most important of all, he's there to win games of football. And Celtic have had so much controversy, they don't need any more drama today. They simply need to win, and the Celtic fans will be feeling quite nostalgic. A football team lining up like a football team. Tinekti flatters to deceive, but he's been given an immediate chance by Martin O'Neill. Maeda through the middle highlights the fact that Celtic are desperately short of a striker. However, he has to get on with it. Martin O'Neill has to get on with it, and the Celtic fans have to get on with it. Any loss of points today, fatal towards their championship chances.
We've been priding ourselves on the unpredictability of Scottish football this season, Gordon Dalziel, but the most predictable thing of all was that Celtic would revert to a back 4 today.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I don't think anybody would have been surprised at that, Gordon. It looks a very strong Celtic side. I know the talk this week has been about Kyogo, but if I'm a Celtic fan, I am wondering why there's not a centre forward in the building just now. Surely by this time, I know they changed their manager, I totally understand that, but it doesn't matter systems with Wilfried Nancy, whether he played a back 3. We all knew that Celtic need a centre forward in there. Kyogo's not coming apparently, so it's a big day for Martin O'Neill. I think it's a strong enough team to get a result, but they need to start motoring the transfer market for me.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, Cammy, a bit later on. It's fairly obvious the Celtic team needs reinforcements. With what is there though, is this the best way of going about it? Trying to get as many people in their strongest positions as possible, limit those that are played out of position, and bring a bit more familiarity to it all?
Yeah, I think it's a formation the players will understand, and again, we're giving the players a formation they understand. It gives them a chance of winning the game of football. I expect them to go and win against Dundee United today. I think you'll get a reaction from Martin O'Neill coming back into the club. Listen, it's been a crazy week. I think we all probably expected Wilfried Nancy to be moved on, and it was very quickly they got Martin O'Neill back in the building. I think he'll have settled things down. I think he's put a team on the pitch that I fully expect them to go and get 3 points, and they need to get 3 points today because they've got a big game coming up on Wednesday night away to Falkirk as well. So listen, the games will come thick and fast for Celtic, but they need to get back to winning ways.
Dundee United making the changes as well. A poor defeat for them in the Dundee derby, and Jim Goodwin got a bit of stick for saying he thought that they didn't deserve to be behind at the break, with people pointing out Dundee had 3 big chances at least in the first half. So he's made changes as well, as have Celtic, and we will go back there very soon indeed. But we do need to give you team news from the rest of the 3 o'clock games, and we have big ones everywhere you look. Every single fixture in the top flight is a cracker today, none more so than Hibs against Motherwell. Roger Hannah.
It's taken Hugh Keevins a bit of time, Gordon, to realise that it's me that brings the glamour to this operation, but he's right when he says this is one for the purists this afternoon, and there is plenty at stake as well. Motherwell sit 4th place in the Premiership, 3 wins from the last 4, 3 clean sheets in those games as well. They are in mourning this week. John Chapman, OBE, the chairman, when Motherwell last won the Scottish Cup in 1991, sadly passed away at the age of 93, and they will do all they can to honour his memory with 3 points this afternoon. They will have to do so without both Rangers target Elliot Watt and Rangers daft Andy Halliday. They're both still on the injury list. They will take encouragement though from a convincing 2-0 home win against Hibs at Fir Park back in November to Wanda Maswanisi and Elijah Just, who scored the goals that day, both playing today. Grant Hanley sent off in a miserable first half back then for Hibs. He starts again today. Hibs are 5th, but they could leapfrog Motherwell with a win today. It's been 3 wins in a week over the festive period for David Gray's men against Hearts, Aberdeen and Kilmarnock at Rugby Park last Saturday. They've got Rocky Bashiri back from AFCON a week after Jordan Obita's return. Bashiri's on the bench today. Still no Miguel Chewa, linked yesterday with Celtic. He's still to return to the matchday squad. David Gray makes a couple of changes from that win at Killie. Kieran Bowie and Obita in for Thibaut Clegia and Junior Hoylett. Still no Martin Boyle, Josh Campbell or Nicky Cadden though for the Hibbies. So they have Raphael Salinger in goal. The back 3, Warren O'Hara, Grant Hanley and Jack Iredale. Across the middle, Kenai Omegwa, Josh Mulligan, Dan Barlasser and Jordan Obita, with Jamie McGrath in behind, Eli Ewan and Kieran Bowie. On the bench, Smith, Levitt and Newell, Chris Cadden, Clegy and Hoylett, Mitchell, Bushiri and Molotnikov. 2 changes as well for Motherwell from last week's win against St Mirren. Tom Sparrow and Oscar Priestman come in for Callum Slattery and he injured Watt. So that means it's Callum Ward in goal, a back 4 of Stephen O'Donnell, Paul McGinn, Stephen Welsh and Manny Longolo. The holders in midfield, Lucas Fadinger and Oscar Priestman, and then Tom Sparrow, Elijah Just and Ibrahim Said behind top scorer Maswanisi. On the bench, Connolly, Gordon and Slattery, Stamatolopoulos, Kutrumbis and Osong, Ross, McAllister and Jordan McGee, who could possibly make a long-awaited Motherwell debut this afternoon. Signed on a pre-contract a year ago from Dundee. He arrived in the summer, but injuries have beset him since then. He could finally make a bow this afternoon. Our referee at Easter Road, Gordon, is Matthew McDermott. The VAR is John Beaton, and Hugh's right. We're looking forward to it.
Yes, a fantastic fixture that one. Roger, Jens Bertolascu has been really praised for the way he's managed to change the team and swap players in and out, and it doesn't seem to make much difference. However, there is a bit of a worry in the local area. Gordon Dalziel told me the sleepless night last night. Elliot Watt's injury, he's probably about as close to irreplaceable as Motherwell have got. He's the one that tends to stay in even when all these changes are being made. He's the one that kind of makes it all tick, and if this is a bit longer term, it could be a bit of an issue for Motherwell.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I think the coolest man about it will probably be Jens Bertolascu, because he does believe in the squad. He does rotate his players round. He will have full conviction that Oscar Priestman can come in and work alongside Lucas Fadinger, and there will be no loss of impetus because of the loss of Watt. Priestman did extremely well when he was selected for that win over Celtic at Fir Park between Christmas and New Year. I think they've got high hopes for the lad, and it's an opportunity for him. You're right, you know, it does make changes. Callum Slattery's not there today. Johnny Katrumbis is in the bench, Stamatolopoulos is in the bench, Liam Gordon can't get into the team either. But you know, the one thing you'll say about Motherwell, for all the praise they've got, it doesn't seem to matter to them who's in and who's out. It's a great credit to the manager.
Big game that one, Hibs Motherwell, as is St Mirren Falkirk. Fraser Wishart's and Paisley.
It is, and Roger's saying it Hugh's right, and I'm going to say Hugh's right as well. He spoke about the tension and particularly the consequences for St Mirren at the top of the show, and I think it's a really important game for Saints in terms of their top 6 hopes. I know we're only just past halfway in the season, but Saints are already 9 points behind today's opponents. United and Aberdeen are also ahead of them, so I think defeat would leave St Mirren with an awful lot of ground to make up, even with a game in hand. Stephen Robinson's team had so much success in the last few seasons, but lack of goals in particular has sees them sitting in 10th place with Living Kilmarnock below them playing each other. If Saints don't win, then they'll lose ground on the teams below them. Either or even both of these teams could close ground on St Mirren. Stephen Robinson added to his squad. Cannon Bacchus, Mark O'Hara are out for a long period the next few months, so Alan Campbell, ex-Motherwell Luton, got a Scotland cap as well. He's not at a club this season. He's signed till the end of the season. He's on the bench. I don't think he's anywhere near match fit and cup hero. Jordan Ayunga is also out, so you can imagine that Stephen Robinson will add to his attacking options this month. But on the other hand, Falkirk fans just loving it. Continued their championship form into the Premiership, and even this early Bairns are looking at the top 6 perhaps rather than simply just staying in the league. John McGlynn's also added to his squad, the young English striker, 20-year-old Ben Parkinson from Newcastle. Like Campbell, he's on the bench today, and his team must be full of confidence coming to Paisley. Great win against Aberdeen last week that cost Jimmy Tilleen his job, and in my opinion Falkirk are the favourite today. So 1 point from the last 9 from St Mirren, 6 points of the same period for Falkirk. I just think St Mirren can't afford another defeat in Paisley today. Really looking forward to this one. Falkirk allocation is sold out. I don't know if our own John McAnally will be in there, but certainly plenty of noise in the way end, and it'll be close to full capacity here, so an exciting 90 minutes ahead. Team news: 2 changes for St Mirren from that defeat at Motherwell. Richardson's on the bench, Gogic is suspended after getting his 6th yellow card in the first half of the season. Come Donnelly and Taylor, so usual 3-5-2 formation for them. Shamal George in goals, Marcus Fraser, Richard King and Miguel Shackleton at the back. Across the middle, Conor McMenamin, Killian Phillips, Liam Donnelly, Fraser Taylor and Declan John, with Mikael Mandron and Dan Lundulu as the strikers. Ryan Mullen, Jayden Richardson, Scott Tanser, Roland Adowu, Alan Campbell, Malik Dyche-Steele, Tunmisi Sobowale, Luke Douglas and Evan Mooney are the substitutes. Just one change from Falkirk for that win against Aberdeen. In comes Henry Cartwright, and out goes Wilson onto the bench, so a slight change in personnel there, but no change to formation. 4-2-3-1. Scott Bain in goals, Philip Lisa, Connor Allen, Liam Henderson and Leon McCann at the back. Brad Spencer and Henry Cartwright in the midfield, with Finn Yates, Dylan Tate and Calvin Miller behind the lone striker Barney Stewart. The substitutes for Falkirk: Nicky Hogarth, Keelan Adams, Col Donaldson, Brian Graham, Aidan Nisbet, Kyrell Wilson, Ethan Ross, Ethan Williams and the new signing Ben Parkinson. The referee today at Paisley is Steve McLean, and VR's the experienced Greg Aitken.
I did say every single fixture in the top flight had a storyline, had pressure, had incentive. How's about this one to round us off? The home of the Set Fair Arena, Livy Kilmarnock. Here's David Friel.
Yeah, Gordon, and the shoe said tension in there. I thought Big Marv looked very, very serious when he's putting out the cones, all colour coordinated. A serious game, a big game. Rock bottom Livingston against second bottom Kilmarnock. It was always going to be a crucial relegation battle, but as you say, different subplots added to this one, not least the arrival of Neil McCann as new Kilmarnock manager. It's been over 7 years since he took charge of a top flight game when he was at Dundee. He did have a short spell as Inverness interim manager 2021. He was part of Barry Ferguson's Rangers backroom staff last season, but he's back on the front line today, and it doesn't get much bigger for the new Kilmarnock boss. His team sit 4 points above Livy. They're in 11th place. Davy Martindale's side also have a game in hand, so a victory for McCann on his debut is clearly going to be massive. And I think it would also help him win over the Kelly support, who haven't exactly welcomed him with open arms this week. A bit of a negative reaction to his appointment. Neil McCann joined by assistant manager Billy Dodds. They face a tough task to win today. Kelly failed to win their last 14 league games under Stuart Kettlewell and Chris Doolan. The one bonus for them is that Livingston's Premiership record is even worse. They've one win all season, and that came way back in August. Davy Martindale, he spoke about this a lot. He feels they've deserved more points in certain games, and they certainly gave Hearts a real scare at Tynecastle last weekend. They lost 1-0, missed some really good chances, but the Livy managers sought to address that issue this week. He's brought in Estonian striker Alex Tam, a lot of experience, an Estonian internationalist. He's arrived on a loan deal, and he's also been joined by the Dazzlers' favourite Scott Arfield. Now 37, he's a Livingston boy, and he's agreed a short-term deal for his hometown club after leaving Falkirk. He managed to get the Bairns up last season. He's trying to keep Livy up this season, and we'll see how that goes. Scott Arfield's on the bench, as is Tam. McCann has made 3 changes to the killer team that lost 3-1 to Hibs last weekend. David Watson banned, Ben Brannan and Liam Polworth also drop out. Michael Shoring-Larson comes in, Scott Tiffany, Jack Thompson as well. I'll just run through the teams. Jerome Prior in goals for Livy. Back 4, Joshua Brennett, Ryan McGowan, Brooklyn Kabongolo and Samson Lawal. Moses Soho and Macaulay Tate at the base of the midfield, with Conor McLennan, Scott Pittman, Stevie May in behind Teti Yengi. Subs for Livy are Miles Kerr, Muirhead Smith, Bakia, Silla, Wilson, Tam and Arfield. As for Kelly, it's Toby Ulobemi in goals. Back 5 of Michael Shoring-Larson, he's making his first start. Lewis Mayo, Ethan Schilt-Brown, Robbie Dees and Dom Thompson. Jack Thompson, Brad Lyons with Scott Tiffany in midfield, and Bruce Anderson and Tyrese John Jules up front. Subs for Kelly are Beach, Williams, McKenzie, Dackers, Stanger, Brannan, Leslie, Polworth and Coughlin. The referee is Don Robertson, the VAR is Callum Scott, and George Calder is the 4th official. I think he could have his hands full today because there's some feisty characters in the dugouts down there.
Looking forward to it. That's 4 fantastic games in the Premiership. Plenty when you dip below that as well. A few down the leagues wiped out by the weather, but still plenty to keep us going on a Saturday afternoon. So let's pause for reflection at this stage. We always look back on some of the week's biggest talking points, and my goodness, there have been a few.
This season, I want to see us have a real shot. Want to see us at full strength. Want a bench that gives us options. Want to get some momentum. Want to do it on a cold, wet night in November. Want to be top at Christmas. Want to beat them on Boxing Day. Want to go ahead in January. Want to put the league table on the group. Want to hear them say, can they do it this year? Want to listen to their doubters. Want to prove them all wrong. Look them in the eye and say, want to bet? Bet Fred. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
I'm Professor Noel Fitzpatrick, and as a vet, I know you want the best care for your animal companion. Pet insurance can help, but you need to choose wisely, as not all policies are the same. Pet Plan aim to pay claims quickly and without a fuss, and that's one reason why so many vets work with them.
Get your pet the best veterinary care. Save 10% on new policies when you insure at petplan.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Fits all media as an appointed representative of Pet Plan Limited.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box, with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.
Welcome to Max Millions, the casino with winnings that are in a completely different universe. Max Millions. Make a splash and win up to 500 free spins playing Storm to Riches, plus dazzling daily jackpots on fluffy favourites and Big Bass Splash. Take your seat at maxmillions.com. New players only, £10 minimum deposit, terms apply, 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Please play responsibly.
Because you bought your robot vacuum on your Barclaycard, you got 0% interest for up to 24 months, which makes watching it, hypnotically sweeping up your crumbs, even more satisfying. Oh, missed a bit. What you buy is your business. Helping you pay less interest is ours. Barclaycard. Make money work for you. Subject to financial status. New customers only. Representative example, 24.9% APR representative variable, 24.9% purchase rate per annum based on £1,200 credit limit. T's and C's apply.
The fastest goals, the expert opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
The stage is set. We've given you the team news ahead of the 3 o'clock games in the Scottish Premiership. Some interesting team news. A first team back picked by Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney. It is a back 4, of course. There's a first start for Julian Araujo as well at right back, and loads to get through as we build up to these fixtures. We do always look at the week's biggest talking points and round them off on a Saturday afternoon. I'd waste my breath, Hugh Keevins. Well, there's just no point. There's no suspense. This time last week, Wilfried Nancy was still the Celtic manager. He is now not, and Martin O'Neill is back, in case you hadn't heard.
The appointment of Wilfried Nancy will, as history will show, turn out to be a disaster for Celtic, because they've conceded so many games under Nancy. Martin O'Neill came back after the departure of Brendan Rodgers and clawed back the advantage that Hearts had. Nancy came in and threw away all the good work that Martin O'Neill had done first time around, and now Martin O'Neill has handed a Celtic squad which is seriously unsatisfactory. And he used the word supplement. He said the squad really needed to be supplemented. And a week of inactivity has now gone by since Rangers won 3-1 at Celtic Park. Kyogo, was that really and truly the only idea Celtic had? Because Martin O'Neill, I think, will be disappointed. In his private moments, he will not share it with the public, but in his private moments, he must think that it has to be better than this.
The only thing I'll say right now, when you look at that Celtic team, Martin O'Neill's walked in. Now, I'm not saying it's got to beat Dundee United this afternoon. I do fancy it. But there's a balance to the team. Right away, you know there's a balance. That back four's got a balance. The midfield's got a balance. You've got two wingers. You've got Maeda, who won Player of the Year in second half of the season, playing through the middle and scoring 30-odd goals. So all of a sudden, there's a brilliant balance to that Celtic team this afternoon, but they've got to go and produce it.
Fraser Wishart, we haven't spoken to you this week since it all changed, and it's incredible to go back. Remember that night when Brendan Rodgers left again and Dermot Desmond issued the statement, and everybody thought at that point this was about as bizarre as it could get for Celtic, and very quickly Martin O'Neill came back and he left and was replaced by Wilfried Nancy, and Martin O'Neill's back again, and we're not even out the second week in January. It's just been remarkable.
I know, and a team that's been so successful for so many years, and the wheels are just falling off. 3 managerial changes, fighting between the board and some supporters groups as well, and pressure now on the board to spend money in this transfer window. I actually really feel for Wilfried Nancy. He had a secure job. He was tempted to come across to Celtic. Why wouldn't you? Brilliant job to come to, and he just wasn't the man for the job. And he's gone from there now to having his reputation absolutely sullied. And I think one of the things I feel is for him, I just hope that him and his colleagues got a huge payoff, because his reputation is damaged coming across here. And I think what we have seen as well is this season is a rise of I think impatience from supporters groups. And I spoke about this when Russell Martin was almost hounded out of Rangers, was fans outside Falkirk Stadium as well. The same sort of happened to Wilfried Nancy walking down the track at Tannadice. I've seen some of the media articles as well. Good riddance was a headline of one prominent article about Wilfried Nancy, and I think, come on, he wasn't the man for the job, and the right decision was taken. He had to go. But really, do we have to ridicule people so much and so early now in these times? But that's maybe the modern world. Maybe I'm just too old and too long in the tooth to go for that. But the right decision was made by the Celtic board. There's no doubt about that. And I think the safe option was, of course, Martin O'Neill. He's no longer caretaker in my eyes. He is the manager. But who do you bring in now? Do you bring in players for Martin O'Neill, or do you bring in players that are going to be there for the next 3 or 4 years? I don't know. It's a tough one for Celtic. They just have to find 2 or 3 players to improve this squad, score some goals, and then try and get their way to stumble over the line for a title.
Yeah, I mean, David Fuel, you've covered every inch of this for the last few months. Is there anything from this week that you think's been overlooked, a kind of element of it that perhaps deserves more attention than it's got, or have we truly exhausted every bit of this mad week at Celtic?
I think we've exhausted every week in terms of Wilfried Nancy. Yeah, look, his reputation, as Fraser said, has been badly damaged. I think he has to take a lot of blame for that himself, because I think he made an absolute mess of the job. Whether he should ever have got it in the first place, I think not, clearly. But he clearly made a mess when he did come in. I think the big thing now is who Martin O'Neill is going to bring in, and the striker situation is now becoming a bit farcical, I think, for Celtic. Gordon, I get that there's been a managerial change. I get that Paul Tisdale, who was heading up recruitment, is now gone, but how hard is it to get a striker in? Celtic have been trying to replace Kyogo for, let's face it, 15 months now. We told them long before last January that he was going. They didn't replace him in that window. They then didn't replace him in the summer, and we're now 10 days into this window, and they still don't have another striker in the bench. And since then, in the squad, and since then they've also sold Adam Ida, and Kelechi Iheanacho was injured. So I just don't get the lack of urgency at Celtic about getting a striker in. They clearly hoped to get Kyogo. I think for a while they thought they were going to get Kyogo. That didn't materialise, but Celtic need to be better at this in terms of recruitment. They need to get a striker in as soon as possible, otherwise the league won't be salvageable.
Yeah, I mean, Roger Hannah, it does become very much about having to get on with it now, but only time will tell how damaging the Wilfried Nancy era was. Can the Celtic team recover from this? I think there is a sense clearly from some fans that they've got the right man to get them back on track. The points gap is still manageable, of course, but they are in a worse position than they were, clearly. So time will tell if it's been a truly damaging period or not.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Gordon. I don't think it's going to be fatally damaging to their title ambitions. They've got Martin O'Neill in. As Daz says, you want to look at the team sheet and you suddenly see an improvement even before a ball's kicked. And if Daz is seeing it and you're seeing it and I'm seeing it, the players will appreciate it as well. You know, there's bringing a bit more normality back to the players, and they are good players. You look at that midfield, McGregor, Hattati and Engels, they should be good enough to beat Dundee United and challenge for a title. Trusty, Scales, Tierney, etc. We don't know much about Arojo yet. You know, they've got Kasper Schmeichel, they've got Dyson Maida. They do need a striker, of course they do, and they're going to need to spend money during the January window. Yes, it's a difficult window. Yes, some players, including Kyogo, don't want to come, but if you spend enough money, you'll get players. Now, Martin O'Neill's a better manager than Wilfried Nancy, we're all agreed on that. They just need to get a striker that's better than Johnny Kenny and better than the current form of Dyson Maida. To do that, they need to spend money, and they need to do it as quickly as they possibly can.
From a journalistic perspective, I'd always share opinions with Fraser, and I think he's right to talk about the aggressive nature of supporters today. However, from a journalistic perspective, good riddance, 2 words well used, because Wilfried Nancy was an unqualified disaster for Celtic. 6 defeats in 8 games. He has seriously jeopardised their chances of winning the title, and the Rangers fans, although they were overly aggressive, where a man needs a police escort to leave a ground, that is overly aggressive. But Russell Martin was hopeless at Rangers. Wilfried Nancy was hopeless at Celtic. And abundantly clear that both men were hopeless very early on. And look at the improvement that Danny Rowell has brought to Rangers. Martin O'Neill has to come back and salvage the good work that he did a few weeks ago. They were both, Russell Martin and Nancy, absolutely horrific. And the fans were quite right to want them out. And the fact that they were appointed in the first place reflects badly on those who run Rangers and Celtic.
That is now the bigger picture as well, isn't it, David, about what Celtic do big picture. Because yes, Wilfried Nancy's gone, Martin O'Neill's in. The Celtic fans love him, but I've very quickly seen lots of them acknowledge on social media that he's not a miracle worker. This is still a Celtic squad that is nowhere near as good as it should be. They are now in a transfer window where Sean Maloney's been keeping an eye on the recruitment, because Paul Tisdale was judged to be not up to it to begin with, and now he's left anyway. Were they recruiting for Wilfried Nancy's system? They're now recruiting for a manager who presumably won't be there next season, so it's not like this is all just fixed overnight.
No, it won't be. I mean, short term, Celtic are just looking for a few sticking plasters, Gordon. Basically, just, as I said, just to try and get them over the line if they possibly can. The big picture is extremely unclear, but it almost feels as if Celtic are starting from scratch. I mean, they don't have a permanent chairman, they don't have a permanent manager, or long term anyway. They don't have a head of operations, director of football, or anything like that. There are so many vacancies to fill in there. There's such a big strategic overview needed, and probably overhaul needed for the club to modernise in so many different ways. I mean, we could spend hours talking about that. However, the short term picture is clear. They need to give Martin O'Neill the tools to win this league. I agree. I think today you look at the team, it does look strong. However, behind the scenes, or even just look at the bench today, Celtic have got 2 right backs and a centre half in Dane Murray in the squad. They spent £5 million on Michel-Ange Balikwisha. He's not on the bench today. Shin Yamada not on the bench today. The recruitment has been awful for far too long. In the short term, they need to find a way to fix that and make the team stronger. But long term, there's serious changes needed at Celtic.
They suffer from complacency, David. They suffer from negligence. As you say, a £5 million signing in Balikwisha, who can't even make the bench at a time when the squad's in a state, and the manager has highlighted the fact that the squad's in a state. Celtic are a complete mess.
On Kyogo, David Friel, you were up at Lennoxtown yesterday, as was I. Martin O'Neill knocking it on the head. I think the reasons are fine. What do you do with that? If Kyogo wants to stay at Birmingham, he wants to stay at Birmingham. Just quickly, before we go over old ground too much, did you think it was a good idea to begin with, yes or no, and then where does it leave Celtic from here?
Yes, I thought it was a good idea, just because, as I said, the sticking plaster. Look, he's not scored goals since he's left. However, he knows the club. He would give everybody a lift, and yeah, look, you would take him. Where does it leave Celtic? In a scramble to try and sign probably 2 strikers. I think Martin O'Neill will look for 2. They might even let Yamada go if they do that. he needs firepower, he needs different types of strikers probably. It was quite telling. Obviously he did the broadcast yesterday, Gordon, and then kind of we get 10 minutes with him for the daily newspapers, and he actually used the phrase, "I can't wait forever." We'll ask him just kind of elaborate on Kyogo, and I think what he's saying is he can't wait for Kyogo to maybe change his mind or Birmingham to almost usher him out the door on the 31st of January. He needs strikers in yesterday. Basically, that was the tone of what he was saying. Maybe Kyogo right now doesn't want to come to Celtic, but would revisit it at the end of the month. But Celtic can't afford to wait that long. The initial reaction from Kyogo after I think he was quite warm to the move was that he would rather stay at Birmingham for just now. So right now that is not going to happen.
Anything else in the pipeline that can cheer Celtic fans up? Is Jocelyn Tabby the winger? Is that going to happen soon? Is there anything else? Because it seems a bit quiet.
Yeah, it does seem very quiet. I mean, that one seemed to be quite far down the line under Wilfried Nancy. The kind of word yesterday was that there was still a decision to be made over whether that was going to be pursued. I know there's Israeli reports saying it had all been agreed and everything. I don't think that was the case. I think Martin O'Neill has pressed pause on a couple of things. I think Wilfried Nancy had also been working on a defender or two as well that I think Martin O'Neill has just looked at and said he maybe wants some different profiles. And as I said, I get that, I understand, I have sympathy for Celtic in that sense. I just feel the number 9, the striker position, is so unique, and that there must have been work done for months and months to try and get someone in. So as Martin O'Neill said yesterday, and I'll quote him on this, surely to heavens there is someone out there that can help Celtic.
Well, when he has to say that, David, then you know the state that they are in. And I would immediately discard anyone who was recommended by Wilfried Nancy. That should be immediately thrown out. But the man in charge of recruitment at the moment, it would appear, is Sean Maloney, who has a job finding a pathway for younger players at Lennoxtown in the academy, who also has a job of coaching the Celtic players during the week now to help Martin O'Neill. And also, any spare time he's got, could he look out for new players? There is no infrastructure, and that's why it's been quiet. There's no thought out way of bringing in players. Analytics, do me a favour, it's Celtic we're talking about.
Yeah, and the biggest problem here, Hugh, for me, this title will be decided in this window.
Yeah.
Who strengthens in the right places and who hits the ground running.
But again, what I would say from a Celtic point of view is I feel as if they've pressed the button at the right time. Yes, we were all expecting them to get rid of the manager at the start of the week. They've done it now, which I think's given them an opportunity. Today they need to go and get 3 points. Wednesday they need to go and get 3 points. Martin O'Neill needs to turn this around really, really quickly, and the pressure's on him. But certainly you would be much more in favour of Martin O'Neill doing it than obviously Nancy doing it. So I firmly believe the title's still there for Celtic if they get this transfer window right. I think Daz is right that, listen, they need a striker in the building. Do they have enough on the pitch to beat Dundee United today? For me, definitely.
We will go back around the ground, starting with Celtic Park when we return.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Cammy Bell and Gordon Dalziel are here. We've got brilliant games around the country. There's so much focus on them all, but of course Celtic Park, the return of Martin O'Neill, Andrew McLean, a couple of interesting team points to note, because of course the formation has grabbed the headlines, but Julian Araujo in for his first start, and Tanetke back from AFCON and straight into the starting 11.
Yeah, interesting to see how the two of them get on. I'll start with Sebastian Tanetke, because when he first came into Celtic, I remember was it away at Partick Thistle that he looked really good, didn't he? He got a lot of praise for the fact that he's picking up the ball, he was running at defenders, he was getting by his man pretty much every single time. He looked a really exciting prospect that a lot of Celtic fans were thinking maybe this is the type of winger that they've not had in a while, or not had fit in a while anyway. But he's really sort of drifted since then. Of course, we've not seen a lot of him in the last few weeks, or any of him, because he's been away at AFCON, but I think Celtic fans would really like to see him step up and maybe offer that end product that's never really materialised in his time at Celtic. He's certainly got good aspects to his game, but maybe needs to just find that final product, get a goal, get an assist today, and can maybe try and kick on for the second half of this season. And then Julian Araujo as well coming in, probably not a surprise just given what's happened with Anthony Ralston over the last few weeks. Yes, Anthony Ralston has been playing out of position. He was playing in that right centre back area of a back three. You've got to say he did look uncomfortable there under Wilfried Nancy, but he wasn't the only player that looked uncomfortable in Wilfried Nancy's system. But Julian Araujo, he has many caps for Mexico. He played well enough for LA Galaxy in his time in MLS that he got a move to Barcelona. Never actually played for their first team, but had a loan out at Las Palmas and then got a move to Bournemouth off the back of that. Did play a bit last season, but really hasn't been able to affect their first team plans this campaign, apart from one appearance in the EFL Cup where he ended up getting sent off. So maybe he still needs to get up to speed a bit, but Celtic fans will be hoping that he's a player that can come in and offer a bit of quality in that position, with Alistair Johnson still a wee bit away from returning to this Celtic team.
And there's also one or two who are sort of either victims of being left out under Wilfried Nancy or favoured by Martin. Liam Scales would be a good example. He didn't get as much game time under Wilfried Nancy, straight back in under Martin O'Neill. On the opposite side of things, Benjamin Negrin actually, was a bit more of a figure under Wilfried Nancy from the start, but he drops out today, so it's kind of reverting back to what we saw a few weeks ago.
Yeah, the Benjamin Negrin situation is interesting, because you'd imagine that pretty much the whole Celtic squad would have been happy to see Wilfried Nancy leave, just the way that things were going under him. But Benjamin Negrin had found a good bit of form. He was maybe one of the only players that had been maybe not performing to the top of his ability, but had been scoring goals. Got one against Aberdeen, got a couple away at Livingston. He did his press duties yesterday, but not in the starting lineup. Wasn't really a big part of Martin O'Neill's plans when Martin O'Neill was in for his first interim spell. And as you mentioned as well, Liam Scales, was only natural really that he was going to come back in, and he'll be happy that he'll have his chance alongside Austin Trusty, who you'd imagine, I think he did an interview with yourself, Gordon, on Sky Sports, where he said he didn't mind the fact that he was essentially the one central defender in that Wilfried Nancy system, but you'd imagine he probably will be happy to see another natural centre-back alongside him. And then Yang is an interesting one, because you look at the fact that he maybe didn't do a whole lot under Martin O'Neill, but he did have his moments, didn't he, under Wilfried Nancy, despite the fact that he had a lot to do in that right wing-back position. It was Luke McCowan that occupied that position at times for Sean Maloney, and Martin O'Neill played a big part in that win that they had away in Rotterdam against Feyenoord. But it's Yang that's in from the start today, and he's maybe got a bit of confidence in the fact that he, after that goal against Rangers last weekend, that he can maybe go in and affect a few things today.
Looking forward to it at Easter Road, Roger Hanna. Just how big is this, right? It's a question we can ask a lot, but in terms of the league table, Hibs can obviously go above Motherwell. Symbolically, what that does for either of them as well, in terms of, are they in that conversation at the top? It feels like that will change come 5 o'clock tonight, one way or the other. You then look at, well, Elliot Watt, he's not playing, but he's the subject of transfer speculation, as is Kieran Bowie, as is Josh Mulligan. It just feels like you've got so much going on there today.
Yeah, and listen, don't take my word for it. I was at Rugby Park watching Hibernian win last Saturday, Gordon. I spoke to David Gray immediately after the game for Super Scoreboard, and the first thing he said was, it sets us up for next week against Motherwell, which will be a huge game. So even moments after a win at Kilmarnock, David Gray was already thinking about this game. He appreciated the significance of this game in Hibs' season. I said at the top of the show, they could leapfrog Motherwell. If it goes wrong, they'll fall further behind Motherwell. They'll fall further behind their stated aim of a top 4 finish. And I don't think we can underestimate the pressure that's piled on Hibs and David Gray because of the success of Hearts this season. We live in a sort of... But through here, if one team's doing especially well, it piles pressure on the other one. And David Gray and Hibs will know that while all the headlines and all the plaudits go to Hearts this season, they will need to push up the table as high as they can, so that a negative focus doesn't fall on them.
That's a good point, Cammy. You know the landscape there, having had a brief spell at Hibs. If they win today, they go 4th. That's a perfectly reasonable, acceptable place to be, except Hearts are top, and that muddies the waters a bit.
Yeah, it does. And listen, I think when you look at Hibs recently, they've had some fantastic results. So today's a massive game, especially being at home. We all know how difficult it's going to be against a high-flying Motherwell team, but I think today is a huge opportunity for David Gray. I think it's a day that they can almost put a little bit of a marker down, that they are chasing with that pack at the top. They're not getting left behind, because I think if they don't go and pick up 3 points, certainly if they were to lose to Motherwell, there becomes that little bit of a gap. There'll be that negativity that'll float about the club. So I think it's a really, really big game for David Gray. But again, he's had big games recently and he's came out on top. Certainly you look at that Edinburgh derby recently, and he came out on top of that. So yeah, I think it's certainly a significant day for Hibs.
And then on the flip side, Roger Hanna, again, Jens Bertolascu made no mistake. I think he was asked the other day at the press conference how big the game was, and he stretched his arms out, if you like, to show the universal symbol for how big it is. If Motherwell win today, it feels like we're almost at saturation point with praise for this Motherwell team. There's not much left to say, but if they could go and win this away at Easter Road, move even further ahead of Hibs, they would have to stay in that conversation right at the top, wouldn't they?
Yeah, 100% they would. I know Daz and Kenny Miller on the show midweek were only kidding on about Motherwell being in a title fight, but they're in the fight for the European places, and they're there on merit. Everybody I've spoken to this week, Gordon, you know what it's like. Folks say, where are you going on Saturday? And I say, I'm going to Hibs v Motherwell. Oh, that'll be a good game. That's two good teams. And even Martin O'Neill, when he was speaking at the start of the week, when he spoke about the Rangers and he spoke about Hearts, and he said, unprompted, and then there's Motherwell, they're probably playing the best football in Scotland this season. So the plaudits they're getting are deserved plaudits. People aren't going over the top about what's happening at Motherwell. What's happening at Motherwell is one of the stories of an incredible season, and it shouldn't be underestimated.
The one blot on their copybook was that semi-final defeat to St Mirren, and we all know where that led to for the Paisley side. Fraser, this will be a history-making season. Nothing will ever change that moment. They'll have it forever. How much are they in a relegation fight, the way Stephen Robinson says, or are they, as the cliche goes, too good to go down?
No, they're not too good to go down, but they've played so well over recent season. I think there are expectations from the St Mirren supporters. You talk about that semi-final and the final. They scored 7 goals in those two games. They've scored 16 in 28 league games, and that's really been the problem. A win today takes them right back into the fight for 6th place, but a loss today takes them 12 points behind Falkirk, who will be in 6th place as well, and I think that would be just too much for them to overcome. So I think this is a big game for St Mirren. You know, defensively they're strong. They've actually lost less goals than Falkirk, I think less than Aberdeen. Leicester United, same as Aberdeen, it's the other end of the pitch, and that's just not just the strikers. Mark O'Hara's been out injured for most of this season as well, brings such a great attacking threat from midfield as well. They're not getting the goals from set pieces, etc. Strong at the back. I mean, Freckleton's been an excellent signing when they lost Richard Taylor, just replaced light for light, but he's probably better than Richard Taylor. King's come into that defensive, so that side of it's all sorted. I think the focus, Stephen Robinson will be saying to his board, saying to Keith Lasley, can you loosen the purse strings a wee bit, spend the money we've got from that cup win, playing the semi-finals and the final, and bring in a couple of attacking players. He doesn't have many options. McMenamin's the only one that can play in a wide area. They lost Greg Kiltie last summer, who gave them that option. They went to Kilmarnock. But other than that, it's just like for likes, it's striker for striker, it's midfield player for midfield player. So I think he's going to look for 2 or 3 attacking options, maybe 1 striker and 1 winger between now and the end of the month, because if they don't win today, and said like Kilmarnock or Livingston or both will pick up points, then they are looking down the way rather than looking up the way.
There's a very diluted version of the Wilfried Nancy, do you change your system, should you adapt change quietly and slowly, David Friel. If you apply it to Kilmarnock, when Neil McCann was at Dundee, they played a certain way, as people always say. They played out from the back, they played some nice football. I assume this Kilmarnock team, with no offence to them, is not going to suddenly start doing that. What do you think the tweaks will look like today?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be total football, put it that way. Yeah, I think Neil McCann will just be sensible. He's not going to ask players, as you say, to do stuff they're not capable of. It's interesting though, Scott Tiffany comes in to play sort of in and around Tyrese John Jules and Bruce Anderson, so I think that just adds a bit more creativity in the midfield. David Watson suspended, that's obviously a big loss for Kilmarnock, but yeah, I think Neil McCann understands Scottish football as well as anyone. He'll know that to come to Livingston you're going to have to fight, you're going to have to scrap, do all of that. So yeah, I think it will be, I don't mean agricultural, but I think he'll be telling these players to do the basics well. And it's just 2 teams, I said earlier on, that just desperately need a win. You have this new Kilmarnock managerial team who are looking to make an impact, and then David Martindale is just trying to bring goals into his side. You know, Alex Tam, the Estonian striker, he's on the bench today, 19 caps for Estonia, started against Italy a couple of months ago. He comes with really good pedigree. And then you've got Scott Arfield chasing yet another fairy tale. He just walked off the pitch a couple of minutes ago, posing for autographs, and posing for pictures, signing autographs. He's a hometown boy. He played at Muirston, it's just a couple of miles down the road, so he's in to try and keep Livy up, to try and get an end of some of the crosses that they put into the box. He's on the bench, but I would imagine he'll come on and play a part today, and we all remember his Falkirk debut last year. Could he do the same again?
I think you should adopt Livy as your new team, Hugh Keevins, because they are the elder statesmen of the Scottish Premiership. Scott Arfield's arrival, I think, takes them up to 10 in the first team squad who are 32 or over.
Yeah.
So they are to Scottish Premiership football what you are to broadcasting.
But help the aged hasn't worked at Livingston. There's a reason why they have won one game out of 20 league games this season, and that's because they're hopeless. And I am taking Kilmarnock to beat them today, and they're going down.
However, on a more serious note, forget all the small matter of association football. I could barely sleep last night. My DMs were flooded with people concerned about you. You dropped the Nokia in the studio at the end of last night's show. You put a hole in the floor. We've had to get a structural engineer to take a look. The Nokia was in pieces on the studio floor. Can you confirm everything is okay?
Scott Allen said to me, listen, don't worry, those phones are indestructible. So I put it back together, Cammy, and it's there, it's working. The Nokia is fine.
Do you know the biggest cheek of it all? I got so many people, genuinely loads of people messaging saying, listen, I've got an old iPhone if he wants it. As if it's the cash that's the problem. He's going to get a new phone. He can afford the new phone, don't you worry about that. It's a lack of technological ability.
I'm issuing an appeal for someone to come and fix my telly.
Oh jeez, that's all we need. We've got kick-off in the 3 o'clock games next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
This is a top fixture card you've got in the Premiership today. Celtic under Martin O'Neill against Dundee United. Livy, Kilmarnock, Hibs, Motherwell, St Mirren, Falkirk, our featured matches. You three are hopeless at predicting football games, but I am a fair man. I like to give you as many opportunities as possible to redeem yourselves. Go.
I take Celtic to beat Dundee United, Hibs and Motherwell a draw, Falkirk to lose at St Mirren, and Kilmarnock to win at Livingston.
I'm going to go home win for Celtic, home win for Hibs, home win for St Mirren, and a draw Livingston Kilmarnock.
I'm going Celtic, an away win for the Claret and Amber Motherwell. I'm going St Mirren Falkirk draw, and I'm going a Livy home win against Kilmarnock this afternoon.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get set for the season with expert pharmacy support.
That's us. We are underway. So underway. I'm sure there's already been a booking in one of the games. It was David Friel's bottom of the table clash. You'd imagine it might be quite agricultural, as they say.
Yeah.
Cabangolo booked already for kicking Bruce Anderson. 1 minute on the clock. Tell you what, that's slow by Ross County standards. What about your old pal Mark Wilson last night? 18 seconds. Partick Thistle were behind in Dingwall. And do you know what I want to know? Above all else, what do you think he thought of you in that moment? If you're going to concede early. You've said it on this show for years.
Or did they think about Hugh's statement? Unprofessional.
Yes. He conceded again 9 minutes later, and it was downhill from there. And all of a sudden, bottom of the table, Ross County beating second place Partick Thistle, with Stuart Kettlewell getting a vital first win. Yeah, it was a win that Ross County certainly needs. A bit of a blow for obviously Mark, 5 points behind. St Johnstone game in the hand. I think we all believe that St Johnstone will eventually win that championship, but he's doing a terrific job. He was 2-0 down against Morton, showed great fight back, won that game late on with Tony Watt's goal. But last night was just a hurdle too far.
It was a tough one for them last night. Ross County obviously getting a new manager in, Stuart Kettlewell, so I felt as if there were always going to be a reaction. We've spoken about it for weeks that they've got good players, and we're amazed they're in the position they are. So they certainly found a bit of form last night. Keeping that clean sheet will give them a real bit of confidence going forward. But it's a sore one for Thistle, but I'm sure they'll bounce back. There is a banner above where the covered Green Brigade seats are, which says "So much for unity." Brian, of course, Hugh, a reference to the ongoing difference of opinion between the Green Brigade and the club. I think Brian Wilson had called for unity. They are obviously making the point that that's not their version of unity if they're not allowed back in yet.
Well, it's time for this matter to be cleared up. They do provide terrific atmosphere. They are sometimes guilty of reprehensible behaviour. There has to be a compromise solution. They are necessary to the club, and Celtic are too slow to react to these things. You know, Brian Wilson has been, not because of a banner, but Brian Wilson, Martin O'Neill, everyone knows, do something about it.
Yeah, like we said, it's just part of the bigger picture. The most important thing's winning football matches, and everything else does calm down a little bit, Cammy, but it's clearly never going to go away completely, and just a sign of work still to be done, whether Martin O'Neill's in or not.
Yeah, listen, I think winning games of football certainly dampens down the noise. It'll never, as you say, go away, but certainly you can start to control it a little bit, and then the focus becomes on the football and you're winning games and talking about the future. So I think there's just been that sheer frustration around the whole club. Obviously they've not been getting results for the past few weeks, but certainly if they can go and get 3 points today, as I mentioned before, it will certainly dampen down the noise at Celtic Park.
Brian just quickly, I was going to update you for Livy. I'm keeping an eye on this. Livy might seriously be about to sub Brooklyn Cabangolo after
wow,
about 4 minutes.
Is he injured?
He get booked in the first minute,
right,
for kicking Bruce Anderson. He then took out Brad Lyons. Kelly went mental and saying, making the point this should be a red. Ryan McGowan, his captain, said to go over to him and say, "What you doing?" And he's now kicked John Jules as well 4 or 5 minutes in.
I think you're subbing him.
Why is the referee not sent him off?
Ryan McGowan's been called over for a chat by the ref, which is interesting because I don't need to be there to know what that will be. It'll be they'll calm him down. But
do your job.
If he needs to be sent off, he needs to be sent off.
Exactly. You can't. Gone are the days in my day that you knew that the centre half was allowed the first tackle, because that was the famous shout. First tackle, ref, I got off with it. Right? You knew it was coming. The days are gone. Doesn't matter.
He's done 3 by 4 minutes past 3 in the afternoon.
Doesn't matter. If it's 3, then he should be off the pitch.
Anyway,
the timing of it, I don't think it should matter. But again, it'll be interesting if Martindale does react to that. David Martindale,
got to.
Certainly if you're the manager,
Danny Wilson's out warming up with a view to replacing him. Not going to happen yet.
The referee has given you every indication that the guy either goes off or he was sent off. So David Martindale has to respond and just get him out the way.
It's only his second appearance for Livy, but he was on loan at Arbroath at the start of the season. It's not like he's just in, and it's.
Do you know what that tells me? That tells me 100% he's been training with Big Marv.
I was thinking that.
Yeah,
no,
the
I think that's fair.
He's a baby dodge him.
Dodge him.
That's what Big Marv is in the 5-a-sides.
The point I was going to make about Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson's a former football writer. He and I travelled around in the 1980s, and he must know that this story of the Green Brigade and the club will not go away. So Martin O'Neill made a kind of wishy-washy offer of acting in mediation during the week, but Celtic ought to be big enough to invite representatives of the Green Brigade and get the matter sorted out. But like everything else, they are horrifically slow at doing anything.
Danny Wilson is being stripped. I've never seen someone taken off for their own protection after 5 minutes.
No,
that's amazing.
It's absolutely bizarre. But again, it sounds certainly as if it is the right decision, because any challenge he goes into, whether it's not even a yellow card, I think he's off the pitch now, because
100%.
Again, the referee's clearly warned the captain of Livingston that any sort of foul he makes, he needs to go off.
Can't wait to hear Marvin Bartley's take on this. Unfortunately for Dundee United, I think they're going to be forced into a change. But injury related, Vichko Seve, a very important player, very able to fill in different areas. He is going to come off. He tried to play on, but a replacement is getting ready, and that's not ideal for Jim Goodwin.
No, but you've just got to hope that your substitute's ready. This is where I've got a sort of a. Is it a bear bug?
Bugbear. Other way around.
How do I always say bear bug?
Do you know what?
I don't know what it is.
What? Bear bug works for me.
Does it? I'm sticking with that. I'm going with my own lingo. I watch substitutes warming up before a game, and they never do the right warm up for me. Because there's a perfect example. What Celtic? What were 8 minutes?
Yep.
Right now, you're asking this guy to go straight on the pitch to a game. A home against Celtic, who try to come out the traps quickly. You've got to be ready for me.
So what are you saying? Who should do what? The subs should do a more rigorous warm-up?
Yeah, I think so.
But is that, I'm not a sports scientist, but neither are you.
No.
So I'm just going to play devil's advocate, and a sports scientist can message and tell me.
Right.
You wouldn't do a warm-up that intense to then go and sit back down for 60 minutes or whatever.
But if you look at the warm-ups that the substitutes do, it's very You're not telling me he's ready to go on that park. I don't care what sports science.
I know, but that's what I'm saying, because how often do they come on after 5 minutes?
Again, what Gordon's saying as well is if you do a full warm up
and then go and sit
back down.
No, I'm not asking a full. I think you should do a better warm up. What they do.
This programme is a disgrace to sports science. He's off. Danny Wilson has come on. Brooklyn had the look of a man who has no complaints, says David Friel. That's remarkable. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before.
No, actually being substituted.
That'd be great,
but again, it's got to be the right decision, because it sounds as if any challenge he goes into, he's off the pitch.
How have you even been in the vicinity to make so many challenges in the first few minutes?
He's been very excited, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been wound up.
Wow.
He's Big Marv's
I think it's Marvin's fault.
100% Big Marv. They know how important this game is this afternoon. This is massive for both teams for me.
And you can't lose a player, so I think David Martindale's made the right call, and he's got that opportunity that he's been allowed to take him off rather than being sent off.
See if Livy have to end the game with 10 men because they've used all their subs or something and they get someone injured. How do you think David Martindale will take that come full time?
I don't think he'll be too happy. It'll be interesting to see what he says to him after the game.
By the way, Dundee United didn't make that change yet, so Yovu is
he still
guess
on?
What? Yovu is out warming up, so you'll be happy.
There you go.
He's getting
Get
his
yourself out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any PhD courses out there in sports science looking for any participants for the coming academic year? I'll pass on.
How come when there's only 2 subs in football, right? I'll guarantee you this, I'll bet you in this. 2 subs in football, everybody done the same warm up, right? So you had 13 players doing the same warm up. Hamstrings, groin strains, never heard them.
Everything better in your day.
Yeah.
Bit of wintergreen, bit of sawdust.
Yeah.
Fine. Good to go.
The sponge.
Smelling salts.
Sponge.
Get you back
smelling
in.
salts, mate. Couple of them. Well, they needed a big thing of smelling salts for me, let me tell you. There you go. A barrel. Up the nostril. Away down the wing.
One of Livy's 3 substitute windows, as they say, used. Fraser Wishart pointing out. So it does put you back a bit when you have to do it so early.
I'm trying to imagine, and David Friel hinted at it in his pre-match reports, that on that touchline you've got Neil McCann, who's not exactly withdrawn as a personality. You've got Big Marv, you've got Davy Martindale, and you've got Billy Dodds. When this guy's tackles were flying in, I can imagine what the touchline was like.
Yes, Neil McCann was politely asking for an explanation after the third foul, by all accounts. Hugh, have you got some questions for us today? Yes, you do. Let's do it.
Yeah.
First half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Here's a plain and simple for you. Tell me the last 5 Scottish-born players to score for Dundee United against a Martin O'Neill Celtic side. The last 5 Scottish-born players to score for Dundee United against a Martin O'Neill Celtic side.
It's very specific. At Clyde SSB, it's a race. Get all the answers down, send them on one tweet to @Clyde SSB and see who is the winner. Of course, if you can only be bothered or you only know a couple of them, that's fine. Chuck a couple in. We'll see what names we can come up with. I'll help you along the way and then announce the winners a bit later on. It's been a low-key start in front of goal. Nothing really to tell you about yet. The excitement of the day so far comes from Livy making a sub after a few minutes because they had a player who was about to be sent off. But other than that, fairly quiet stuff, and on we go. It's been a dramatic day in the FA Cup south of the border, if that is your type of thing. Non-league Macclesfield knocking out the holders, Crystal Palace. Hugh Keevins.
It's got to be unprecedented in the history of the FA Cup. National League North, that's where they play, National League North, and they've just put out Oliver Glasner's side. Oliver Glasner, a man whose name is linked with every big job, including Manchester United. What an embarrassment for all concerned. And in a week's time, Auchinleck Celtic, beware.
Yeah, the FA Cup, and we're talking about Scottish football, but FA Cup used to be the highlight of the year, didn't it?
Yeah.
Hugh, in the days. Frank Boff. Remember him? Oh, it was brilliant. And the 2 teams coming out to Wembley. And everybody was tuned into it. But Clubs don't take it serious now. They look at the Champions League, they look at Europe, they look at staying in the Premier League because of the riches. But that is a massive shock today.
Roger Hannah telling us some good stats. 117 places between the teams, the biggest gap in FA Cup history, as you alluded to. Macclesfield managed by
the manager,
Wayne Rooney's brother.
Wow,
is it?
I wondered why Wayne Rooney was on telly covering the match.
And could you tell me what Wayne Rooney's brother's first name is?
Mr. Rooney.
Paul? Is it Paul?
Rooney?
Paul Rooney?
I didn't know Wayne Rooney had a brother. There you go.
Right, no goals still to tell you about. I thought we had one there. I got a little bit excited, but not quite. It's John Rooney, by the way.
John,
Just made up Paul.
You just made up Paul.
You're going through
Franny
the Beatles.
Jeffers is assistant manager there.
I think you're right on that as well. I didn't
the
notice
fox
him.
in the box.
Yep.
Yeah.
Celtic Park, Yang has had a back post header over the bar. There was another chance. It was just a block shot from Kieran Tierney. So that's all so far. Might be more of a patient approach required, because I think everyone acknowledges it. Strange to say this, but Celtic's priority was probably about becoming more defensively solid. In domestic games, that's just unthinkable. They didn't have too much issue pouring forward in domestic games under Wilfried Nancy. It was the balance that they didn't have.
Yeah, but again, I've always said it, if you're conceding goals in the rate that Celtic were conceding goal, which was, we've never really seen it before at Celtic, so I think it put them under so much pressure. They were so vulnerable. Even the Livingston game, you reflect back to that, they conceded 2 goals, but certainly Livingston probably should have scored another 2 in that game. There was just opportunities all the time.
8 games. When was the last time Celtic never kept a clean sheet in 8 games?
Well,
that's incredible.
Also, as Gordon is alluding to, 18 goals conceded. 18?
Outrageous.
Yeah. So you don't build a title win on stats like that. That's why he's gone back to Columbus, Ohio. But the longer it goes on, it won't be regarded as a patient build-up by the Celtic fans. The longer it goes on without a goal, they'll say, why couldn't you find a striker?
He wasn't even in the country long enough to get a gas and electricity bill. I can't believe that. That's incredible, isn't it? I couldn't stop thinking about that. He's not even had his first bill in.
To say that Celtic are like dominating possession doesn't really mean much, Gordon. The home game against Dundee United, of course they should be, but just the scale of it, in case you're wondering, 88% so far. So Dundee United are very content to sit back and just make Celtic answer the questions, or they can't do anything about it. Maybe somewhere in the middle. But that's remarkable. It's almost hard to get to that level.
Bit of both, Gordon. I'm surprised at that start, but I'm not surprised that Celtic have come out of the traps, dominating. Jim would probably know the reaction that he was going to get, Martin O'Neill was going to get from the Celtic players. And he's obviously went there, and it's all cliche, innit? Park the bus for the first 25-30 minutes, keep ourselves in the game, and then see where it takes us.
Yeah, no goals to tell you about yet in any of our featured matches. Actually, quite a quiet start in front of goal, which is not ideal, but you never know. Maybe that means we make up for it later on and get a flurry. We've only got 2 games in the Championship as well. We did give credit to Ross County for their win against Partick Thistle last night. Ayr United against Airdrie is goalless, as is Wraith Rovers against Arbroath. And you know what? Not a single professional goal scored in Scotland yet. That's great. I'd say that's 18 quite minutes. Yeah, 18 minutes in. Don't get me wrong, there are only 2 games in League 2 as well. Edinburgh City, Stirling Albion, Forfar Stranraer. 3 have managed it in League 1. Cove Inverness, Queen of the South Kelty, and Stenhousemuir East Fife. And there you go.
There we go.
If it makes anybody's day any better, Kelty have taken the lead against Queen of the South in what is the first professional game in goal in Scotland of the afternoon. Stephen O'Donnell's down. He kind of sat down off the ball, which is never a good sign. He's getting some treatment, so the game held up there. And in fact, Motherwell going to make a change as well. Johnny Katrumbis coming on for the Steelmen.
Aberdeen job still vacant. Jens has been linked with everyone this week. Aberdeen, Celtic, moves abroad, everything. So it's a tribute to the man on one hand. It's a worry for the 2 Gordons in here on the other hand.
But I've said that before, it comes with success. Ultimately, there's going to be
never gone there.
No. But what I'm saying is that I think that's what happens when you're successful. You're going to get linked with jobs. It's the same with players. I said that Motherwell will do well to keep all their players because they've got some fantastic players there. Elliot Watt, I know he's injured and might actually probably keep him at Motherwell in this window, because I think he's been absolutely fantastic since he joined and has been brilliant this season. So yes, it's just part of the game. When you're successful, other teams are going to come looking.
As you say, I think it's died down a bit. Whether Celtic would have or not is a good debate, but they won't right now because they've got Martin and Neil to the end of the season.
Yep.
And although Motherwell fans have seen it with Craig Brown and they've seen it with Mark McGee swapping for Park for Pataudry, I think there is a feeling, maybe it's naivety, but I think there is a feeling that Aberdeen couldn't prize this guy away right now.
Absolutely
Might
not.
be wrong.
I would be astonished if Aberdeen could prize him away. I think this guy will keep going, and the way he's going now, everybody's looking at him. Look, who's to say that if Martin O'Neill decides to walk away in the summer, which is the plan, that Celtic don't look, because the style of football this guy plays is incredible. Tactically, he's well aware of it. Everybody knows he's got to tune it out of every player. He makes changes week in, week out. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on Celtic's radar.
That's the thing, Cammy. It won't all be tied to like league position, because as we've said already, if Hibs win today, they go above Motherwell. But clearly, the way that he's done it, what he's getting out of those players that are there. We speak about it all the time about, the game against Celtic. People are overlooking some of the small details which you understand. Motherwell's back four against Celtic had no central defenders in it, and they were all right-footed. It was four right-backs essentially playing across the back line. Their best defender couldn't play in Stephen Welsh because he was his parent club. They had no striker that night, through choice. That just the way he's managed to get a tune out of them. So it feels like even if they tail off, even if they finish sixth, still think there'll be enough credit in the bank that other clubs will still be interested.
100%. I think it's a style of play, the brand. I think what you've just mentioned there, Gordon, is how you measure him as a manager as well. Like, it sounds unbalanced, that back four, but he gets the best out of players. Players understand their role, they take accountability for where they're playing and the style of play that they're playing. So yeah, listen, I think there's loads in it.
Closest Celtic have come. Daisen Maeda has hit the bar. It's a left-footed shot from a cutback. It must have taken a nick or been tipped onto the bar. It then went for a corner, and Liam Scales has had a header held by Dave Richards. He might not sound like a goalkeeper, but he has made the save from Liam Scales.
What do you mean by that? I don't get that.
I've just got this thing in my... Do
you think he's a drummer?
I think Dave Richards is
a drummer.
He's a mechanic or something. He's not. Can we call Dave Richards? Come on.
I can't sign you. Why? You don't sound like a football player.
Dave Richards painting and decorating as he comes up his right man. That's David Fields' joke. I can't
He's Van's outside Celtic Park now.
If he keeps a clean sheet today, he'll be delighted. I'm absolutely sure of it. But Celtic with all the ball, all the attacking intent, no way through yet. But then again, nobody has found a way through yet. St Mirren Falkirk's been pretty quiet. The first sign of anything in the big one at the bottom, Scott Tiffany's cross come shot saved by Jerome Prior, and you'd imagine that would be quite a tense one as well, particularly for, I don't know, if Kelly could win it, Hugh, it's quite a gap they open up. Livy would have a game in hand. Similarly, and I know we're doing it's a bit early January to do all the ifs, buts and maybes, but even if that one is tight and it ends up in a draw and St Mirren can win at Falkirk, this relegation battle that Stephen Robinson speaks about, surely not.
A game in hand for Livy just means a future defeat.
Sorry, Marvin.
one win in 20. They are in dire trouble. But Kelly, if they lost at Livy today, they'd be in dire trouble, because Livy would then have 1 point disadvantage, but also that game in hand that we're speaking about. The League Cup holders being involved in the relegation playoffs, would that sound fanciful? Well, not on the day when the FA Cup holders down south are knocked out of the competition in their first defence of the trophy by a non-league team. Anything can happen in this game.
Isn't it incredible that the last time Livy won was August the 9th? August the 9th, and yet they're still 4 points away from Kilmarnock. And they've got a chance of catching that this afternoon, which I think they will. I think home advantage, I think they win. I know that Kilmarnock usually get clubs usually get their new manager bounce, but I just feel that Livy have got it in them this afternoon.
How much managerial change has there been since Livy got the last win? Decent opening for Dundee United for the first time. Is a ferry cross to the back post. Sturton tried to take a touch, but it kind of popped up a bit awkwardly for him, and then was cleared. So Dundee United at least managing to venture up the field for once, because they haven't really done that in the opening quarter of this game. This must be one of the lowest scoring starts to an afternoon we've had in the Premiership, because absolutely nothing. Dan Lindeloo of St Mirren, he has received a yellow card for a sliding tackle on Scott Bain.
They were getting reports in from the game of the day at Easter Road.
Signed a new contract, didn't he, Scott Bain, this week?
2-year extension, I think it was. So yeah, he's been fantastic.
Been good,
really good for Falkirk. And probably you'd be looking at the goalkeepers this season. As I say, I don't think it's been a strong season for goalkeepers in the league, but I would say Scott Bain's certainly up there to be one of the top goalkeepers performance wise this season.
And he'll be keeping an eye, because he got into that last Scotland squad, didn't he? I know there was injuries and so on, but still the picture isn't really. Craig Gordon isn't going to leave. He's not asked, and he knows Hearts won't let him because they're in a title race. And in fact, Xander Clark has gone today to Doncaster, so there's no way.
Doncaster.
So there's
what, the races?
Xander Clark is Hearts' third choice.
Xander Clark's a Scotland international goalkeeper.
He's playing zero football, not even close. We're talking about Craig Gordon can't get a game.
Look, excuse me, I totally agree that he should go out on loan. Well then. But I'm surprised, because even Cammy's at Doncaster.
I am a little bit surprised by.
Surely he's better. No disrespect to Doncaster. Well, they won't hear me, so I'm not bothered. Right, but surely better than Doncaster.
But again, he's Hearts' third choice goalie at the moment. Whether that's right or wrong, or quick or fair or harsh or whatever.
I hope he's not playing today, because they just conceded a second goal against Southampton.
Yeah,
in the
back
FA
up the road.
So.
No, listen, I think that we all know the goalkeeping situation. I think the conversation will be had with Craig Gordon and Steve Clark, as long as he keeps himself fit. I think we all know that Craig's a very professional person and he'll be working hard in training. He keeps on saying he feels as if he's close to getting into that Hearts team. Whether he is or not, that's obviously Derek McInnes's decision, but I certainly, for me, I still see Craig Gordon as the one that will play in the World Cup,
even if he goes from now to then without playing any first team football. What if Angus Gunn moves in January and plays every week from now until then?
I still feel as if he'll go. Honestly, I really do. I think, listen, I got questioned the last time when everyone said would Craig Gordon play. A lot of folk were going Scott Bain. I just feel as if Steve Clark as a person, I think he goes with experience. He knows that Craig Gordon looks after. He says he's not down tools. He's working ever so hard to try and get in the team. He just can't get into that team.
If Xander goes to Doncaster, there's more chance of Steve Clark seeing him in Doncaster, because he very, 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 very rarely comes to watch Scottish matches. So I don't share the.
I do think he's more likely to go to a Hearts game than a Doncaster game, to be fair to him.
Well, but if you're not playing for Hearts, then there's no point. He's already made up his mind about Craig Gordon, so. Xander Clark, I mean, Doncaster, yeah, okay, well, what are they, League 2?
Hold that thought, please.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And the next Martin O'Neill era is up and running. Celtic 1, Dundee United 0, and it's Yang yet again opening the scoring after last week doing the same. He'll obviously hope it finishes a bit better this time around, but it's a low strike from the edge of the box and Celtic have the lead. We kind of thought it was coming, not because they had loads of chances, but they had all of the ball, and Yang has opened the scoring.
To be fair to Yang, he was outstanding for Celtic against Rangers last week, and then come the interval, Wilfried Nancy had another brainstorm and decided to change Yang's position, so he is now a far more threatening player. I've been on record as saying he's hopeless and all the rest of it, but he's grown and he's now a more threatening player than he has ever been in a Celtic jersey, and he certainly will never have scored in consecutive matches before.
Oh, don't say that, because he probably has. And
well, someone will remind me, but
this is a difference though. So Celtic, complete domination of possession. Whether Dundee United have even been up in Celtic's half to have a shot, they're in complete control of this game, and eventually they get the breakthrough, and that's why the difference from Martin O'Neill and what Wilfried Nancy was bringing to the team was he was wide open, he was giving other teams chances in the game, and it was almost a game of basketball, whereas they're in complete control of this game.
It's incredible he's become such a big player now, isn't he? You know, he's starting to play with a lot of confidence, scoring goals. He's been very good in the last few weeks, Yang, and got off to a great start. They needed that because they were controlling the game, but when you can control the game, you've got to really make that count, and Celtic have done that. I think Celtic will be comfortable this afternoon, I really do.
If Marvin Bartley wasn't busy arguing on the touchline with Billy Dodds and Neil McCann. He'd been onto the Nokia by this time, but every time Yang scores, he's the first message I get.
Well, your two former clubs, Gordon Dalziel, one you were a proud manager, director of football at the other, Ayr 1, Airdrieonell, Jamie Murphy, the experienced goal getter from the penalty spot this time. Half an hour gone there, and in fact the two championship games have come to life right at the same time, because it's Raith Rovers nil Arbroath 1, Gavin Riley Arbroath, one of the success stories
I'll
of
make
the
my
season so
return
far.
to Somerset Park shortly, Gordon, for an event in the Alan MacLeod suite.
Why have you suddenly been invited back?
I had absolute no idea. I'm drawing a raffle. That's as much as I've got in my career at Ayr United. It's nothing to do with, I think it's a comedy thing, football, so delighted to get along and help.
A bit of a chance
They need
actually
a bit of personality.
for Dundee United. Sturton tried to dink Schmeichel, but it was saved, goes out for a corner. So United trying to respond. It's actually Hibs who seem to be more on the front foot at Easter Road. Ewan's header saved by Callum Ward in the goal. Hibs just looked up for it. Cammy kind of trying to get in Motherwell's face, and Motherwell not enjoying the same amount of possession that they normally do. And again, I don't think there's necessarily shame in that. Hibs are good as well. Easter Road is sold out. It'll be absolutely rocking. There's no Elliot Watt. There's a couple of reasons why Motherwell's control of this game might not quite be what it has been in recent weeks.
And David Gray's message would be, don't allow Motherwell to control the game. So I think that's why they'll have started fast, they'll have started aggressive, they'll be trying to close the space down so they can't get into the rhythm, trying to break that up. So it's interesting, because again, you feel as if Hibs don't score, then Motherwell will find the rhythm at some point in the game.
He'll be a bit stung, won't he? The game at Fir Park was an absolute battering that people wouldn't have expected. Now Hibs, part of that was they went down to 10 men, but I think it was 2-0 early when they went down to 10 men, and they had Grant Hanley's head spinning, and that led to him being sent off and all that stuff. So he'll want to make up for that, David Gray. I don't think he'll have enjoyed that night.
No, he won't have. And again, it's always fresh in your minds, and the manager will remind you of them nights where it's been difficult and the other team have hurt you. So certainly that'll have been part of his team talk, but I firmly believe that it's about trying to stop, and teams have to do this now because Motherwell have been so good. They have to stop Motherwell from getting into the
Funnily
rhythm.
enough, Motherwell now have had a chance. It's Tom Sparrow kind of cuts in from the right onto his left foot, hits a shot towards the far corner, and Raphael Salinger makes the save. So the game coming to life a bit there. We do have an opener at Celtic Park through Yang. That's the only goal in the Premiership so far, but hopefully we are getting there. What about your teaser, Hugh? Remind us.
Just let me remind you of the...
Hold on. I think we've another...
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's another goal for Celtic. They have doubled their advantage. I mentioned just a second ago that Yang had opened the scoring while Arne Engels is in on the act. It's a cross from Kieran Tierney, and all of a sudden Celtic are looking comfortable.
Well, that takes the tension out of the air at Celtic Park. The fans will equate the good feeling with the return of Martin O'Neill, and to be fair to Martin O'Neill, doesn't have a recognised striker, but people have stepped up to the plate for him. The whole club will be far more optimistic than it was when Wilfried Nancy was there, and the afternoon is finished for Dundee United, I would say now. And just let me quickly remind you of that first half teaser. Tell me the last 5 Scottish-born players to score for Dundee United against a Martin O'Neill Celtic side.
Yeah, get your answers into that quickly, please, at Clyde SSB. The Martin O'Neill chant is now ringing round the entire stadium. Gordon Dalziel, I did suspect there would be a bit of a party atmosphere there. Just for now, like we said, it's not that everything's fine, everything's rosy at Celtic, but he's Martin O'Neill, and especially if he's 2-0 up, it was always going to be happy days for the Celtic fans.
The Celtic fans are delighted he's back in the dugout. Of course they are. He's such a brilliant manager. He's a character. He would have given that place a brilliant lift. I think it's a good game to have today for him. Dundee United really struggling just now, and then he's got Falkirk midweek, so he'll be probably off and running to a good start. He knows he's a bit of work to do. It'll be interesting to see who he brings in, but look, he's got that aura about him, the dugout, and he just, when he goes to the touchline, you would look round there and think, oh, I need to up the pace a little bit here for him. So great start.
Different levels of managers for me, though.
Yeah.
Again, you look back, these are the same players that the previous manager had at his disposal. Martin O'Neill has changed the formation to suit these players to win the game of football.
To be fair, I wonder if in a quiet corner of Columbus, Ohio, if he's back there, Wilfried Nancy's watching on and going, "Oh, you're taking your chances in the first half now, are you?"
Yes, but they're not as open. Dundee United have had one opportunity, which I think was down to a Celtic mistake at the back. So again, having complete control of the game, which I'm used to watching Celtic and Rangers at home having control of the game. You need to ride your luck. You need your goalie to play well to get a result.
What I mean is there must be room for a bit of that. By this stage last week,
they should have been out.
Celtic should have been 2-0 up against Rangers, and they weren't. And then that's when the openness came into play. Look, I think I'm not trying to defend Wilfried Nancy. It's firstly, it would be undeserved to completely defend him, and pointless anyway because he's gone. But it just shows you, there is an importance there of taking chances
100%,
first. And then
you've got to be ruthless, and we all know that. And we've criticised Celtic for not, because as you say, if they'd taken their chances last week, it's a different game.
But they're a bit more. See, as someone who played in that position, see if you're uptight and you're looking for that goal, sometimes you can make bad mistakes, you can snatch at things. Celtic players, to me, probably will be more relaxed today. Everything about them, they'll be confident, everything before they went out onto the pitch, and that helps you. And by the way, you make a good point, Gordon, because as a manager you would be saying, look, well, I created so many chances, why couldn't they put the ball in the back of the net with ease like they're doing today?
You wouldn't be back in Columbus, Ohio anyway. You'd be spending some of that payoff, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, you're on a cruise liner and you wouldn't get a reception. Caribbean.
Wonder how much you got.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
2.5 year contract out after 8 games.
See, the minute they go $1 million, I'm selling. I'm cashing it.
One thing is, he's not watching this game.
No, he is not caring. By the way, that's the best 8 games work he's ever had in his life.
New signing Julian Araujo has been booked for a poor challenge on Will Ferry. Another booking I meant to tell you about was Josh Mulligan. He had to stop a promising attack, as they say, when Tawanda Maswanise was striding towards the box, and into the book he went. But I think he's actually been joined by Stephen Welsh for a kind of similar challenge up the other end. Stenhousemuir won East Fife 0 in League One. Ross Taylor with the goal. So it's beginning to heat up a bit at Easter Road. There's a good save from Scott Bain to beat away a Dan Lundaloo shot. St Mirren looking for the opener there, but still goalless.
Interesting one about Stephen Welsh this morning, on loan from Celtic at Motherwell, but Aberdeen apparently interested in signing him. Surely Motherwell would say, can't let him out the building.
I think the problem with that
is on loan, is he on loan till the end of the season?
Yeah, but I think the problem is his wages, isn't it, for Motherwell? Potentially, there was rumours that he's on roughly 10 grand a week at Celtic, and would Motherwell be able to afford that type of
Roger
figure?
Hanna says Aberdeen were denying this last night for what it's worth, but just generally, I suppose he's Celtic's player, so it's not the Motherwell really.
No. I think
what I meant was Motherwell making a bid for him on a permanent basis.
They're never going to pay 10 grand.
No, they're not. I don't think they'll be able to afford his wages. But again, what it has been, he's been a brilliant player for them. I think he's
excellent.
Absolutely accelerated his career as well, because he was almost just. I know he's played a number of games for Celtic, but he couldn't get that games every week in, week out, and get a rhythm into his style. And I think he's shown what he can do.
Yeah, Cammy, there's only one guy at 10 grand a week at Motherwell. That's me.
Will Ferry's semi-struggling to shake off the ill effects of that challenge, which saw Araujo booked. He can't really put weight on his foot, but took the free kick anyway. Just decided to put himself through the pain barrier and swung it in. Not a bad delivery, but doesn't come to anything. And Dundee United, since we're dusting off some old cliches, probably need to get to half time, Gordon, at 2 or better, because they won't want this to become ugly.
No, if they get to 2, it's not great, but you know that games turn quickly with a goal if they can get back into it. But there's no signs, we're not hearing any sort of a confidence that they're going to get back into this game. I think Celtic have got to run out very comfortable this afternoon. I just think they've got the bit between their teeth. Martin O'Neill, everything, the atmosphere there, the way the players are playing, dominating the game, 2-0 up. I think this is damage limitation for Dundee United.
Good game underway at Easter Road now, as we thought it would be. It took a bit of time. It's a good move from Motherwell. It's excellent from Maswanise. He has a shot similar really to Tom Sparrow's shot earlier. Salinger saves it again, so it's lively. Both teams had some players booked. Both have had chances. Motherwell, of course, always a threat on the ball. There's been a long range shot from Lowell as well in David Field's game between Livy and Kilmarnock, just looking for a goal there. So come on, let's get more. And remind us of your teaser again, Hugh, because quite a lot of people are getting like 5 out of this. Is it 6 we're looking for?
5.
A lot of people are getting the 4, but not quite the 5th.
Want to know the last 5 Scottish-born players to score for Dundee United against a Martin O'Neill Celtic side?
Producer Ryan, what's the one that people are struggling with most, would we say? And I'll maybe help them along with that one rather than worrying about the wrong answers. Let's see, who's the one that they're struggling with the most? I don't mind giving it a wee cue. I'm quite a clue, I should say. I'm quite generous like that. He's not telling me. I don't know why, but never mind.
No.
Anyway, we move on. Still no
Can't
more
get
goals.
it
Don't worry.
staff.
You've not missed any goals during that award-winning inquiry into the first half teaser. Not even down the divisions either. That Stenhousemuir goal was the last goal in Scotland to tell you about, so I covered that one for you. The one that most people are struggling with, believe it or not, I'd say is the
easiest. You say the easiest, eh?
Well, hold on. There's a reason it's got to be the easiest. That can't be right. I don't think that's right. Don't tell me we've done that.
Oh, that's a surprise in here. He's probably Irish.
I'm going Stuart. No, he's not Irish. I'm going Stuart's inquiry.
Mixing Patalainen will probably
Which of those? This doesn't work for radio as I launch my own inquiry. Which of those 2 teams are you claiming that guy scored for that day? Because he wasn't a Celtic player by then, and he's about my age. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced of that.
I love
my
that.
Goodness. See, we've decided that you're too good.
The date of the match and everything. I think you need to Google the match and
I don't need to Google it to know that guy didn't score that day. Well, I'll tell you why, because he's a similar age to me, and I was about 12 that day. So
what a player he was.
Don't worry about that, okay?
What a prospect.
My goodness. Do you know what? All it is, you're just too good at the teasers, so we decided to make them literally impossible for you now.
Yeah.
Oh, dearie me. Right, it's still nothing though. I'm trying to just keep it going and hope that we get some
goals.
I know.
Celtic will be happy though, Cammy, no doubt about that.
Yeah, no, again, in complete control. But as I said before, I think when you look at Celtic, certainly at home, it's all about how much they control the game. They're going to have loads of possessions, probe a team, create opportunities, but it's about taking them. They've took 2 opportunities. They'll feel really comfortable going in at half time. Of course they'll want more, and Martin O'Neill will demand more the second half and the end, towards the end of this half. So, but they're in a really good position.
Well, I mean, really and truly, Dundee United look as if they're probably having one of those days. Nothing's gone right for them. Celtic have utterly dominated the match, and the fans believe in Martin O'Neill, and they will see this as a threat to Hearts and to Rangers tomorrow, both away from home. Hearts at Dundee, Rangers at Aberdeen, and that's all the Celtic fans ask. Game by game, Martin O'Neill has to keep them in it.
I remember when Elijah Just first ran out as a Motherwell player, did that thing the trap you fall into thinking
doesn't look like
he
one.
must weigh about 7 stone. This is not going to work for the rigours of the Scottish Premiership. He's just shoulder barged big Kieran Bowie to the ground at Easter Road. He's been an absolute revelation.
He's
has
been
Elijah
brilliant,
Just.
he's great. Absolutely brilliant. What a player he is.
Where's he from?
He's from
were you not on the other night?
Yes, it was. It was me he asked. He's north of Canada, New Zealand.
North of Canada?
New Zealand.
I've never heard New Zealand described that way before. But he is from New Zealand.
There you go.
It's just it's your working that I've got issue with rather than your final answer.
Guaranteed, them out there at the grounds are sitting googling going, is that North of Canada? Is it? I bet he's no. I bet you the heat's right in, isn't he?
I don't know if you'll need to Google it.
No. Do you not think it's North of Canada, New Zealand?
You just keep going.
It's a very odd way to explain it.
Definitely, very odd.
Try to buy myself time, Hugh. I got the answer.
But any man who thinks it's a bear bug, well, what chance have you got?
I quite liked bear bug earlier. I must admit,
bugbear's not good. Starts changing 1 or 2 phrases round. I think we're bored of it. We've been on this show long enough.
Gordon Dale changes the English language.
There's a lot of stuff out there he would change, aren't there?
If you're interested in League 2, Edinburgh City have taken the lead against Stirling Albion. Uzi C, who's just returned from East Kilbride, back to Edinburgh City. You, of course, know him as having been on Love Island, Gordon Dalziel, who's he see?
Yeah.
But he is, listen to Cammy straight in there.
I must admit, I've never watched one episode.
On there.
I'm amazed. I think it's right up your street.
Love Island?
Have you never watched it?
No, never, mate.
Tell me this.
I don't watch Big Brother either and stuff.
I can't believe, because you're one of the biggest fans out there, or so I thought. I had to tell you on Thursday night that The Traitors was back.
I couldn't believe that.
Have you caught up?
I'm starting it now, yeah. I watched one last night. I'd love to be in The Traitors.
Remember we got you to to put the cloak on and stuff, and I said I was going to apply. But it wouldn't have been for this season. This one was actually filmed a while ago. So the next one I'll get you.
Yeah, I love it. I've got to say, it's a terrific programme. I'm doing a lot of TV now.
I'll get you sorted for that next time.
I'm doing a lot of TV. Yeah, I'm doing a doc. I said it on Thursday night, Taylor Swift. I'm a Swiftie. I became a Swiftie. I'm all in.
I thought you meant you were
in
a lot of TV.
Yeah, right. I get a little bit of criticism about this on Thursday night because I watched Taylor Swift and I'm amazed with her, right? Yeah. I think she's fantastic, talented, everything about her.
It was just when you kept banging on about her work ethic.
Her work ethic is to die for. Down to earth with all those billions. Right, down to earth with all those billions. And that night, I get a text, a WhatsApp in.
Wasn't Taylor herself, was it?
No, it was somebody very famous from Scotland at a Taylor Swift concert, dancing away. Right. And I'm not going to tell you who he is, but he's a world champion snooker player, right? So let's just keep it at that.
Oh, this is big.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Livingston 1, Kilmarnock 0. It's Conor McLennan. He was the man that scored the late goal a couple of weeks ago when it didn't count for much, but this one might count for a lot. It's a great run, cross Tate, low finish, and Livy right on the nick of half time, which, as they always say, is a good time to score, should take the advantage in. And a big half time team talk for Neil McCann and Billy Dodds.
There'll be some fun going up that tunnel at half time. A bit of a interval cabaret in that tunnel, because the goal will just get all of Livy up and all of Kilmarnock down. And there's a few volatile characters there, but as I say, if Livy win, they're just 1 point behind Kilmarnock, and they'd have a game in hand.
Yeah, it's a huge goal for.
It's half time as well. That's how close it was, David Friel.
Yeah, half time, unbelievable end to the half. The fourth official just held up the board for one added minute. Macaulay Tate went a brilliant run down the left, kept his composure, low cross into the box, and there was Conor McLennan to finish off. How big a goal could that be? As the guys were saying, Livy haven't won a game since back in August, but they've got the upper hand here. And huge team talk for Neil McCann on his dugout debut as Kilmarnock manager. So much at stake, both sets of players are always going to be up for this one. As we were talking about Livy defender Brooklyn Cabin goal, was far too excited. He had to be subbed off after 10 minutes for his own good. 23 years. He was booked for taking out Bruce Anderson inside 2 minutes. He was then so lucky to dodge a red card. He fell Brad Lyons, he fell Tyrese John Jules in quick succession. Don Robertson has been urged to show him a red by the Kelly management, the Kelly players, the Kelly supporters. He didn't. He pulled over Ryan McGowan and made it clear one more foul and he was off. David Martindale wasn't taking that chance. Danny Wilson was summoned after 10 minutes. Cabin goal had trudged off. He's just been sitting at the back of the dugout. It was the right call. Livy were a lot more settled after that, but Kelly have done okay. They've tried to play football. Scott Tiffany's been pretty influential with a powerful cross batted away by Jerome Prior. Danny Wilson also had to make a really good clearance from one of his deliveries as well. But Livy have definitely had the best chances in the final third. Joshua Brennett waltzed into the box, laid off one for McLennan, but Toby Ulawemi made a good save. Samson Lawal also had a decent effort from distance, but we thought it was going to get the break all square, but then came that goal on the stroke of half time from McLennan. So Livy have the upper hand in this relegation battle. Half time, Livingston 1, Kilmarnock 0.
It is half time, Celtic Park. Andrew McLean.
Celtic 2, Dundee United 0. The half-time score. Martin O'Neill is back in the dugout, and Celtic look to be back to winning ways as well. They've had all of the ball. Dundee United have been camped in their own box for most of the game, and the home side have taken a couple of their chances to put them in a very comfortable position at the break. Right from the start, they were trying to pressure Jim Goodwin's side, but not too much in the way of chances in the opening 20 minutes. But 20 minutes were on the clock when Daisen Maeda hit the bar. The ball was cut back to him. He got a good shot off, but Dave Richards tipped it onto the bar. It went out for a corner. Richards then had to hold on to a Liam Scales header from that corner, but it was a simple catch there really. It was probably only a matter of time before Celtic got their opener, just with the pressure they were putting on Dundee United, and it was Yang who got it. He received a pass from Liam Scales at the edge of the box, fired a low shot across goal into the bottom corner for 1-0, and you felt that sort of nervousness, that pressure maybe lift in the stands at that point, and it didn't take long for Celtic to then double their lead. Arne Engels was the man who got it. Tierney with the cutback this time to the penalty spot, and Arne Engels with a nice side-footed finish into the bottom corner for 2-0, and the Martin O'Neill chant started ringing round Celtic Park. Dundee United had a couple of forays forward, but it's pretty much been all Celtic in that 45 minutes. The half-time score at Celtic Park: Celtic 2, Dundee United 0.
Half-time in Paisley, Fraser Wishart.
Yeah, Simon 0, Falkirk 0, although no goals. It's kind of bubbling under. He feels a bit more to come from this game. It's been pretty open, played a decent tempo, but for both sides they'll feel they can do more in the final third. It's hardly been a decent chance at either end. A Dylan Tate shot hit the bar, Scott Bain a couple of routine saves, the only real action in front of goal. Pretty up start to the game. Falkirk playing with real confidence on the ball. They pressed us a goal early on, a series of corners. The 50 minutes passed without either keeper having a save to make. 18 minutes, the first real effort, a breakaway by Falkirk involving Dylan Tate, and Barney ended with Tate's shot. He tried to bend one in. It took a slight deflection from Marcus Fraser, looked over the goalkeeper and hit the bar and over. Jamal George just watching it. Then St Mirren's frustration began to show. Dan Lindulu yellow carded for a very late sliding tackle, and Scott Bain, as Falkirk as always, tried to build the play from the back, and another blow for St Mirren. 26 minutes. Midfielder Liam Donnelly's not played much recently. He limped off to add to their long list of midfield injuries. Jaden Richardson came on. 28 minutes. Mikael Mandron finally got involved. He tried his luck twice in quick succession. His first effort was blocked, but he was quickly onto the ball, and his second effort was saved by the right boot of Scott Bain. But the game had promised much, but neither side really firing. We passed 30 minutes. Calvin Miller then struck a low shot on the angle, struck it well, and saved by Jamal George, but the goalkeeper would be disappointed if he lost a goal from there. The angle was just too much. The Falkirk winger. Then towards the break, St Mirren had a short spell of pressure. Mikael Mandron again involved the big striker, tested Bain again, Curto safe for the keeper from 20 yards, and then had to beat away a fierce shot on the angle from Lindulu, but again a routine save for the goalkeeper. From then on, not much to talk about at either end, and Saints fans getting more frustrated as we approach the break. But I have to say, it's been okay to watch despite no goals, but the game does need a goal, and it might just be one goal that settles this one in either team's favour. Very much in the balance here. Half time, St Mirren 0, Falkirk 0.
Also half time at Easter Road, Roger Hannah.
Yeah, it's half time. Hibernian 0, Motherwell 0. And I was quite disappointed, Gordon, when Matthew McDermott sounded the half time whistle, because this contest was really just beginning to heat up. It was quite a slow start. The first incident, note, Stephen O'Donnell limping off injured after 17 minutes to be replaced at right back for Motherwell by Johnny Coutrumbus. 3 minutes later, the first sighting, a goal, a deep cross by Dan Barlasser. It reached Grant Hanley at the back post, but his header across the face of goal didn't at all trouble Callum Ward in the Motherwell goal. Jordan Obita next to threatened for Hibs, firing over the top after Motherwell failed to clear a Hibs corner properly after 23 minutes. Hibs on top at that stage, and Motherwell needed their captain Paul McGinn to intervene and hack the ball clear after 26 minutes after Ailey Ewan threatened Ward's goal. Wasn't really too much sight of Motherwell as an attacking force at that stage. Ewan's header held by well keeper Ward after 27 minutes as they looked for a breakthrough, but then suddenly the game burst to life. Motherwell really seen as an attacking force. Tom Sparrow testing Hibs goalkeeper Raphael Salinger with a shot on the angle. Minutes later, Josh Mulligan was booked by McDermott for chopping down Tawanda Maswanisi 25 yards from goal. Elijah just had the free kick, but it lacked power and was easily clutched by Salinger. Moments later, as Hibs tried to bust forward, Stephen Welsh took a yellow card for taking down Jamie McGinn. It really was beginning to open up into an entertaining game. Salinger pushed out an effort for Maswanisi after he turned Jack Iredale inside out, inside the box to work space for a shot. Then Ewan at the other end, surging deep into Motherwell territory. His cross eventually reaching wing-back Kanayo Megwa at the back post, but the angle was very tight and Ward easily pushed it behind for a corner. Hibs pushing forward as we went into stoppage time at the end of the half. Jordan Obita knocked to the floor by Lucas Fadinger before he could deliver a ball into the box. Fadinger taking the third booking of the half from referee McDermott. It's just beginning to come to the boil, Gordon. We're expecting Baxter Road. It's Hibernian 0, Motherwell 0.
And we'll do a full roundup of the half-time scores when we return.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
We are underway in the second halves across the country. Hugh Keevins, Cammy Bell and Gordon Dalziel are in the studio. The top team round the grounds will keep us up to speed on what's happening. And of course we're not far away from the biggest part of the Saturday evenings, when you get in touch with us. We don't get in touch with you, you get in touch with us and let us know what you are thinking about today's action or any of the big stories that are out there. We're underway again at Celtic Park, where Celtic have a 2-0 lead going into that second period. Arnott Engels scoring Celtic's second, Yang opening the scoring. There's a bit of an attacking change for Dundee United. Amar Fata has come on for Kamara. He's been one of Dundee United's biggest threats in recent weeks. Had a quieter day in the derby, Fata, Cammy, but if they are to spark something, he could be the type that can do it.
Yeah, he's got that quality about him. He scored goals, obviously, as we know, for Dundee United. It's just, for me, it's the approach of Celtic in the second half. If they dominate as much as they've done the first half, I don't really think it matters what Jim Goodwin does, because they can't get a hold of the ball for periods. But yeah, listen, they've got to offer something going forward, because they can't just keep defending, because eventually will concede a goal.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get set for the season with expert pharmacy support.
And for Celtic, Hugh, it's all about the 3 points and all that stuff. But if you're 2-0 up at half time and the crowd are all chanting Martin O'Neill's name, you might as well kick on and try and put some sort of convincing statement, whatever you want to call it, win out there.
I have a newspaper headline to sell to Roger Hanna. O'Neill is Marty Supreme.
See what you've done there.
Are you liking my work?
Very topical.
Yeah,
I like it. See, for an old guy, he's right up to speed with his modern
O'Neill
culture.
is Marty Supreme.
I knew you wouldn't get it.
I have absolutely no clue of that.
I thought you were quite up to date on what films are out, because you've got one of those magic TVs.
It's the biggest film of the year.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm going, I don't get
Then
that.
again, that's not what you use your magic TV for, is it?
No, that's not the sort of films.
Let's not go there.
I like the war films.
Anyway, we've not started yet actually at Easter Road. I sold you a dummy there saying we're underway everywhere. Easter Road not quite yet, lagging behind a bit, but David Friel's game is underway. He'll be hoping the second half starts as the first half finished. A bit of drama at the end with Livy scoring. You just wonder what type of reaction Neil McCann can get out of those players, Hugh, because a Livy win today would be hugely damaging.
Well, we are talking about a Kilmarnock side who, as things stand, have gone 15 games without a win. I mean, you're getting on for half a season, and they are in dire straits, and if they lose, they're a point above Livy, and they are banging trouble. So I thought Neil McCann was actually brave to take the job, because after today, the games, with the greatest respect to Livingston, the games get much, much harder for Kilmarnock. So
see, if you want, I know what you're saying. Like, it's not that they've got brilliant prospects, but Kilmarnock are a really good Premiership club. Neil McCann's not been a full-time manager in 8 years.
I think it was that, yeah.
You get a Premiership job.
Yeah.
You're going to have to take that, aren't you?
Well, it doesn't alter the circumstances that after today, the games get much, much harder.
Who have they got, Hugh?
We got Rangers for a start. And I think Hearts are in there as well. So, you know, life's not getting easier.
The position they're in, I think every game's a hard game. Look, they're playing the bottom of the table now. That's a hard game because they're losing 1-0. So I don't think I'd be too concerned about what's in front of me.
What I'm concerned about with Kilmarnock is a squad. I look at the squad, and no disrespect to anybody that's there, but I kind of look at it and I think it looks like a Championship squad, to be honest. I think a lot of the players that are there, I think you would expect them to be down towards the bottom of the league. So the recruitment's not been good enough. Whether Neil and Billy can bring in new players in January to try and help them climb up that table will obviously be important to them.
Right, Hugh, stand by. Let's do it.
Okay.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
During my career, I was managed by Malky Mackay and Ian McCall. I played beside Paul Hartley, Graham Dorrans and Alec Ray. I won multiple Scottish leagues and cups, and I was a runner-up in the English League Cup. Who am I? So I was managed by Malcolm Mackay and Ian McCall, played beside Paul Hartley, Graham Dorrans and Alec Ray, won multiple Scottish leagues and cups, and was a runner-up in the English League Cup. Who am I?
Good question, that. At Clyde SSB. It's just the one name, of course, that's all we need. So get firing, send us a tweet. And I love the second half teaser because you can just guess until your heart's content. Throw as many names as you want out there, and let's see if anything sticks. There must be quite a lot of crossover between like Paul Hartley,
Alec Ray,
and now who's the third one again? Graham Dorrans. These guys played for loads of clubs loads of times, so I'll be interested to see if you can come up with that. You always do, because your knowledge is outstanding every single week. So let's see what you can come up with at Clyde SSB. There's Harvey McBarnes, Scotland's great World Cup hope, has scored again. He's having a brilliant week.
Yeah.
Hope Steve Clark's there. Hope he's got the most expensive bottle of champagne that he can get his hands on.
I watched the 7-goal thriller, Newcastle United, Leeds United. Harvey Barnes was outstanding, got 2 goals, so now he's 3 goals for the week. And let's be honest, we're not exactly replete with good forward-going players. I think he's booked a seat in the plane.
Don't get me wrong, nobody's saying no because they don't think he's a good player, Gordon. People are just saying no about the kind of principle of it. I don't think MD's going, nah, I don't know if he's done enough. I think it's just, obviously we all know the scenario.
I can totally understand both sides of the argument, but if I'm Steve Clark and I'm picking a squad and he's available, he's on the plane.
Yep,
he's on the plane for me. He's got a ticket. I'm Anton Deck. I'm up there. I'm giving him a ticket. You've got a seat in the plane.
Again, once we get him in the squads as well, he's in the squads for good. He's still a young player, so again, the longevity of getting him involved with Scotland. Yes, we all know the debate about should he be there or should he not. Like, you can debate that, but I think he scores a couple of goals for Scotland, we'll all be absolutely behind him.
Well, we'll watch with interest. You'd like to see if there was a bit of movement on that soon, wouldn't you? I mean, I suppose there's not, what is it, March, the next international break, so maybe it waits for a few weeks or so yet. Wraith Rovers are back in it. Looks like a good game that at your old stomping ground, Gordon. Wraith Rovers 1, Arbroath 2. Scott Brown.
Yeah, they needed a reaction at half time. 2-0 down against it. You've got to say Arbroath have been sensational this year. So game on there. That's the one thing as a manager. Again, you do your half time, you tweak up 1 or 2 things. You're hoping for a response. They've got it.
Man City 5, Exeter 0 after only 49 minutes, which means this is Gary Caldwell's toughest moment since he sent his Partick Thistle team for SAS training all those years ago.
There.
Were you?
I was there.
Seriously?
I was injured though, so I got to watch it. And
you didn't get kidnapped?
No, I seen the kidnap happen. Yeah, listen, the least said about that the better, to be honest.
What was it? So, like, did a player got
it was
kidnapped
a kitman
and cried?
Kitman got kidnapped and was
from SAS?
like, yeah, it was really panic. It was up like
team bond
Helensburgh or somewhere. It was like -3. We were all up there trying to team bond and -3. And
who were you with?
Partick Thistle. Wasn't enjoyable.
Who's the manager there?
Gary Caldwell. Is he listening to this show?
Sorry.
No, do you know what he's doing? He's too busy looking to see which games have got more than 2.5 goals in them, and it's really annoying me. Focus.
I'm on the focus now. Do
you don't remember that Partick Thistle?
No, I don't.
There were genuine tears.
Yeah, listen, I genuinely think he panicked that something had happened.
What could have happened? I don't think he actually got kidnapped.
He got the hood over the head and then threw in the back of a van and taken away, and that was it.
What did they take away?
Some sort of holding place, and then he was.
You wouldn't like that. You're claustrophobic.
Honestly, mate, I would have freaked.
It was bonkers.
I would have freaked. I'm claustrophobic.
The boys had to carry
the bag over.
I can't remember who.
Point.
No, holes cut in the eyes.
I wasn't the injured person, but they had to carry somebody for 2 miles. On a stretcher, and that was part of the group building.
Please tell me you won your next game.
We also watched Sully before a game as well. That's the film Sully. So
whoa, I hadn't heard that. It's a good film, but like immediately before the game.
I'm talking, but we probably about an hour and 15 before kick-off. We are sitting in a room watching it.
Oh, the full film?
No, part of the film. When the plane crashes, when the plane lands
in the water.
Yes, in the water.
I mean, it's a great moment. It's a great cinematic moment.
It's a brilliant moment. But the message was,
did you all clap?
the message was to
we've got a big goal. We said they're all big games today.
Goal flash Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hibs 0, Motherwell 1, and it's Tawanda Maswanisi again. He went off to AFCON. Motherwell didn't miss him, but he's shown exactly what he can add when he comes back. I think that moves him level at the top of the Scottish Premiership goal-scoring charts, and after 52 minutes, it's Hibs 0, Motherwell 1.
Moves Jens Bertel Askew closer to another club. But terrific for Motherwell, and they are one of the stories of the season. The Hearts can be top, and of course that's the major story of the season. But Motherwell, my goodness, the progress that's been made under Mercedes Jens is incredible.
He's in fire. He is in fire, this guy. Honestly, he's playing with such confidence. What a threat he is, scoring goals. I've told you my double today, Motherwell at Hibs and Livingston at home.
It's also a part of a bigger picture, Cammy, about how hard it is to handle this Motherwell threat, because it's not like it's always where they've got the ball and pass. Hibs will go and push forward, but Motherwell like that then. That's what they want, spaces. Maswanisi is the most direct of them all. He can then stretch the play, he can go up the other end, and he fires it into the bottom corner with the right foot.
Yeah, and again, it's different elements of attack for Motherwell. As you say, they can pass through teams, they can be patient and then create a goal from that, but also on the counter-attack they're very, very good. Maswanisi has been phenomenal this season, really, really good, a top player, and he's a huge asset for Motherwell at this moment in time. And listen, if they can win that game there, that is an unbelievable result for Motherwell, and it really does, for me, that genuinely means they're pushing for the title at this moment in time. There's no reason why we can't say that.
Let's wait till full time today.
Yeah.
Let's wait
they
till
get
full
3
time.
points
If
today.
they get 3 points, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Plus the fact another clean sheet could be brilliant for them if they can. Look, there's still a lot of football
long way to go in this game. Do you think Gary Caldwell's turned to the bench and said, go and get the Netflix remote, because they're 6-0 down now? To be fair, if you're talking about the challenge that he faces today, Antoine Semenyo has scored the 6th, having just signed for however many millions.
All this Exeter's watched the Titanic before he turned up at Manchester. I'm on to that. Right, we're in the water.
Right, so it was all about being comfortable when you're in uncomfortable situations. Obviously it's uncomfortable crashing a plane or trying to land a plane on water, isn't it?
And you can't
correct. I think we would agree with that.
So I think that was the message, and we were in an uncomfortable place because we couldn't win a game of football.
Yeah, okay.
So that was trying to deliver that message, and I still think we got beat.
Do you remember who you were playing?
Honestly, can't remember. No, I genuinely can't remember.
Honestly, that's brilliant. But because you know what, it's easy to scoff and laugh, because I'm sure loads of these things do go on, and you never know what sparks you into life and all that sort of stuff. But the thought of the Partick Thistle player, for anyone who's been to Firhill, it's not got a cinema room, does it?
No, it was in the boardroom actually.
The thought of you all sitting watching the best bits of Sully before you run out is incredible. Speaking of incredible, this is huge as well.
Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
St Mirren 0, Falkirk 1, and it is Finn Yates. He's really come on to a game in recent weeks as Finn Yates, and 10 minutes into the second half, he is the man that has opened the scoring. Jamal George raced out of his goal to block Calvin Miller. It then broke to Yates. He's 35 yards out and manages to lob the ball into the net. And St Mirren fans, for all the cup glory, must be wondering why the league is so much harder this season.
Well, there are two aspects to this. Stephen Robinson got all manner of praise and all the speculation about whether he might be a future Aberdeen manager. He's in big bother now, and John McGlynn strengthens Falkirk's position in the top 6. Now, the man, 64 years old. I've said that O'Neill is Marty Supreme. John McGlynn is a miracle worker.
Would Aberdeen look at him, Hugh? Is that?
I don't think so.
Why?
I think that you're talking profile here. You know, someone came on to SuperScoreBoard during the week and said John McGlynn was a potential Celtic manager. Now, if you tried to sell John McGlynn to the Celtic supporters as the next permanent manager of the club, they would laugh you out of court. And I think the Aberdeen supporters would say the same of John McGlynn. He is a perfect fit for Falkirk. Back-to-back promotions, top 6 in the Premiership. It is an astonishing sequence of events, and he deserves every plaudit going.
Anyway, again, there's a long way to go in this game. We don't know if Falkirk have won the game yet, and we've got John McGlynn getting a promotion off the back of it, or a new job anyway. But St Mirren are trailing at home to Falkirk. Finn Yates with the goal after 55 minutes. And again, Cammy, there's so many ways of kind of looking at measuring Falkirk and the good things they do. Look at some of the players that they're getting a tune out of. We've spoken before about signing players from university football or Lowland League football, and then young players who've not maybe played that much. Finn Yates has now come into it a bit. You see them cutting ties with Scott Arfield and prioritising elsewhere. A bit like Motherwell. That's just what happens when the structure's good, the manager's good, the tactics are good, the game plan is good, and then it means that everybody can fit in and do a job.
Yeah, I think they've got a clear identity of what they want to do, and John McGlynn's brought that to the club since he's been there. There's been a huge amount of success. Calvin Miller's one that touches on me. I'll remember watching Calvin Miller in Celtic's reserves, and almost, I think he went down south. It didn't work out for him. It looks as if his career was going in the wrong direction. Listen, he's been an absolute revelation since he's joined Falkirk, and again he's went up within the leagues with them, but he's also been able to handle it at the top level as well. So yeah, this would be a big result for them.
Okay, double change for Celtic. We have Donovan on for Araujo and Nigrin on for Hatate. So two like for like. Celtic still 2-0 up. Not a great deal happening in that second half.
Like for like, but Nigrin brings goals. He is the top scorer at Celtic this season. He's got 8 goals in the Premiership, and Hatate's not blessed with a goal scoring record, so Nigrin will be welcome for the Celtic fans.
Yengi's hit the bar as well, so Livy almost 2-0 up. A great effort from Tete Yengi there, but still 1-0 to Livy. I remember in the summer I went along to, it used to be called the Exit Trials, didn't it, that PFA Scotland put on. It's now called, I think it's the talent showcase or showcase event that Fraser's colleagues organised. Craig Beattie was kind of overseeing it. I went along, and there's a lot of young players obviously kind of out the game, if you like, freed, wondering what comes next. And the most recent poster boy they had was Finn Yates. He'd been released by Aberdeen, goes to this talent showcase, doesn't have a club, does well for that week, and Falkirk sign him, and he's now playing Premiership football in scoring in a game like this. So a nice lesson in there as well.
Brilliant. And it's great that when you get freed, at least you've got an avenue to show your skills again. There's always an opportunity to get back into the game, because a lot of players are lost to this game because they've not been given the proper chance. And I can understand clubs financially now, it's very difficult and they've got to make big decisions, but it's great that obviously Fraser and the PFA put on these sort of trials, and it does give you a bit of hope if you want to stay a professional footballer.
Right, that was the last goal to tell you about. Maybe we should check in on the teaser, Hugh. I feel like the goals are coming quite quickly now, so let's use this lull wisely.
In my career, I was managed by Malky Mackay and Ian McCall. I played beside Paul Hartley, Graham Dorrans and Alec Ray. I won multiple Scottish leagues and cups, and I was runner-up in the English League Cup. Who am I?
Hold that thought.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It usually works the opposite for you, old fella. Usually you say something and it goes wrong. Who brings goals?
Nigrin.
Nigrin brings goals. Celtic 3, Dundee United 0, and
goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
St Mirren 0, Falkirk 2, and it's Calvin Miller. So a quick fire double there for Falkirk, but for Celtic it was Engels with the shot blocked. It fell nicely for Nigrin. He then kind of stabs it, but it goes high into the top corner. He hasn't always convinced in his performance levels. You cannot argue with his goal return, and he's scored another. The Swede. What did Martin O'Neill say? It was his 4th favourite Swede, I think.
Yeah, after ABBA.
No, it was Henrik Larsson and Bjorn Borg and somebody else, and then Benjamin. I'm sure it was a joke, but anyway, Nigrin has scored. Celtic are 3-0 up.
9th Premiership goal of the season for Benjamin Nigrin, and the day Marty is supreme. The day is over for Dundee United. Celtic can only add to the 3 that they have, and it's a spectacular return for Martin O'Neill. He now goes to meet old man McGlynn midweek. What are they between them? 64, 74, 138 between them. But it'd be a good test of Celtic midweek at Falkirk. But so far as today is concerned, they are home and hosed.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. It was, look, they're going in 2-0 at half time. it was always going to be comfortable. He makes substitutions, and when the new manager, well, again, Martin O'Neill, new manager again, but when he comes in and he gives you an opportunity, you've got to go out there and show him, listen, I want to be a part of this. And your man's scoring goals for fun. So comfortable, really bad afternoon for Dundee United. I said it early, damage limitation, still a bit to go.
Are Dundee United, look, there's no shame in going to Celtic Park and losing. Over the years, Cammy, loads of people do it. Let's not over dramatise it. But as a more general point, are Dundee United, after a fairly positive start to the season, it feels like they're kind of caught in between what they are a little bit. Quite, it's not that clear, what type of team I think setting out to be at the moment.
Is it because they've been so inconsistent for periods in the season? I think so. They brought a lot of players in the summer. It was a huge turnover. I think 13-14 players entered the building. It's always going to be difficult to get them to gel. They've had a lot of injuries as well, so you can't shy away from that. But again, I think the Dundee United fans will have expected a little bit more. They'll certainly be looking for a reaction in the next few weeks, because they've had a couple of disappointing results, and certainly that one at home to Dundee in the derby is a real damaging one.
A 12th of the season for Benjamin Negrin.
It's not bad for a midfield player.
Really good.
And by the way, he's not playing week in, week out every minute, so that's a terrific return, you've got to say. So he's one that is relishing the challenge. Obviously the midfield three was picked today for Martin O'Neill's first game back, and he's come on and he's made an impact.
It's going away from Celtic. The Falkirk goal's a massive goal. Calvin Miller just spoke about him as well, and I think that's a big goal. And it depends. Listen, you look at St Mirren's position, that they're in a real sticky place. They've had a really poor season, apart from obviously winning the cup, which we've spoken about. But domestically, they've been really, really
so
poor.
impressive that for Falkirk, though, isn't it? I mean, they've gone to Fir Park and won earlier in the season. One of the few teams that, Motherwell kind of collapsed a bit at the end, but still going to St Mirren, winning. And I know St Mirren aren't in a great place, but all these things that should be really tough to do when you're a championship team that comes up with a modest budget. It's a brilliant story.
They go 5 points ahead of Dundee United. We'll be talking about Dundee United and what they ought to be. Falkirk are now 5 points ahead of them in the league table, and firmly ensconced in the top six.
And we're not, again, we speak about budgets, but you've got to speak about budget. Dundee United's budget will be miles bigger than Falkirk. Possibly double or more.
It'll be more than that.
More, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
100%. I had Falkirk going straight back down because of, I looked at the squad and I'm thinking that squad will never get through a season. The manager and his players have been magnificent.
We were about 10 minutes ago going to recap the teaser, Hugh, very quickly.
Yeah, in my career.
Sorry, just quit. It keeps happening. To make it worse for St Mirren, they've now had to sub their goalie, Shamal George, injured, Ryan Mullen on. Right, I won't interrupt you, I promise.
No, you're perfectly fine. In my career, I've been managed by Malky Mackay and Ian McCall. I played beside Paul Hartley, Graham Dorrans and Alec Ray. I won multiple Scottish leagues and cups, and I was runner-up in the English League Cup. Who am I?
I've got
Murphy says it, thinks it could be Alan McGregor.
No.
Stuart Ferguson thinks it's a player you worked with. Gary Teal.
No, I've got it.
Okay.
Have you?
Keep your guesses coming at Clyde SSB. Gordon Dale is writing it down. What are we saying? Yes, that is correct. I can read your handwriting from here. Well done to you. Bit slow by your standards today, though.
You've got to take your time.
It's nearly
Deep
4:30.
breaths.
It's nearly 4:30, so I'm not letting you away with that one.
I was there on the day that he was runner-up in the League Cup final.
Oh.
At Wembley.
Oh, okay. I thought, listen, a few people do have it, but that's fine. There's still time. Get your guesses in at Clyde SSB. We've got another goal.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And it is getting ugly for Dundee United and brilliant for Celtic. It is Daizen Maeda getting in on the act. There is still over 20 minutes to go, and Celtic have made it 4 goals already. Dundee United really toiling, and Celtic are finding their stride. Celtic 4, Dundee United 0. Daizen Maeda, Taneki's shot saved by Dave Richards. Maeda smashes home the rebound.
The height of irony. Celtic, the headlines about Kyogo eventually not coming, and the talk of a striker, and now they've got 4 goals and plenty of time to add to Dundee United's misery.
Hold that thought.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
There's a big goal level in the basement battle. Livy 1, Kilmarnock 1. Kilmarnock have lacked an attacking threat really this season, but Tyrese John-Jules has shown signs and he has equalised. A huge goal because Livy hit the woodwork. They could have gone 2-0 up, but now they are level. The first goal of the Neil McCann era, and it's a big one for your old team, Cammy.
Yeah, a massive goal, and I get a great reaction from obviously Neil McCann's team talk. He'll have been reiterating how important the game is, that they get something out of the game, they don't lose the game, and it's given them a really good chance to go on and get a massive win. But you're right, he's scored some important goals since he's came into the club.
Yeah, great response. That's what he's looking for. I think there's a winner in this game. I really do. I think there's a winner, and it will be an important winner. So,
well, actually, I think after giving John Jules the praise for his attacking threat, I think Dackers might have been the one that got it. But either way, they were level in that game.
Well, it certainly won't bother Neil McCann, who scored it, as long as somebody did. And I think that gives Kilmarnock a heavy impetus.
And we've got another goal. They're all coming now.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hibs are level. Hibs 1, Motherwell 1. It's Kieran Bowie. A lot of talk about him this week, about could he go to Rangers, could he go to Celtic, could he go elsewhere. Hibs want to keep him, and that is why. It's a ball over the top for Sparrow, a beat crosses, and it's a close range finish. Two good teams going head to head, and they're level.
Well, you couldn't say it was unexpected. If they are two good teams and they both enjoy playing football, chances are one will cancel the other out and it'll end up a draw.
He's starting to find the back of the net, this man. He went on a barren spell there. He wasn't scoring at all. He's coming in for a little bit of criticism. All of a sudden, the confidence is there and he's starting to take his chances.
And I have to say, the colours come back into Luke Shanley's face on Sky Television. Heavy Luke.
Well, he was outed for it live by Derek McInnes, wasn't he, a couple of weeks ago? Don't know if he appreciated that, but there we go. Another change for Celtic. Forrest McCowan and Kenny all come on. Tanetki, Yang and Maeda off. So Yang and Maeda both scoring and coming off. Tanetki's return from the AFCON as well, and just trying to get everyone else in on the act now, because Celtic are 4-0 up and cruising.
Well, what a chance it would be for Johnny Kenny, to get a goal after game, missing big chances. He could have no complaint about being left out, but Celtic are rampant, 4 ahead, home crowd loving it, the return of Martin O'Neill, big chance for Johnny Kenny.
Forget big chance, Johnny Kenny. I agree with you, Hugh, that you have to take your chances, but for Martin O'Neill just now, I think it's all about this clean sheet now.
Yeah.
4 goals up, convincing win.
Yeah.
It's well documented that Nancy couldn't get a clean sheet in 8 games, lost all those goals. If you can come off that part 4 or 5 and you've got a clean sheet, perfect start to your new reign.
Yeah, Kenny actually immediately goes through 1-on-1. Dave Richards makes the save. He tips the ball wide. The flag goes up. Kenny probably still should have scored. He's a striker who's been getting a bit of stick for missing chances. You still want to score those, even though it's offside. Does it matter?
Yeah, just to get that
the psychology of it, that you can stick it away.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously did score a couple under Martin O'Neill the first time. Johnny Kenny in fixtures like this. Remember, obviously scored in the biggest of them all, the Rangers game, but remember the games at Celtic Park and did quite well, Johnny Kenny. So maybe the turn of the new manager can be something that sparks him into life, but as a team effort, nothing really wrong with the attacking performance today. Celtic 4 up and looking very comfortable, and now very interested in the last 20 minutes at Easter Road, because Motherwell were 1 up through Tawanda Maswanisi. Kieran Bowie has equalised, and if we do get a winner, Cammy, it's going to be just huge either way. If Hibs win it, they're going to leapfrog Motherwell. If Motherwell win it, it's a brilliant statement they've sent out, and it's going to be a big Easter Road crowd urging them on.
Yeah, it's a big 20 minutes for both clubs. Again, I don't think they'll both settle for a draw either. Knowing these teams will both be going out for it. Certainly Motherwell, every game they've approached this season, they go to win it, and Hibs being at home, David Gray will want his team to go all out for the 3 points now they've got the leveller. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting 20 minutes, certainly at Easter Road.
Scully's certainly crashed.
Sully.
Scully. Well, Sully has certainly crashed at Manchester.
Man City 7, Exeter 0. Oh, come on, there's no shame in that, for goodness
sake. Could be double figures, that though.
Look at the list of players that are scoring for Man City.
No manager
Reinders
should lose 7. I don't care who you're playing against.
What about yourself?
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Right, I think we are ticking along nicely. We've had big goals everywhere happening in the last 5 minutes or so, and a lot of these games are poised nicely as well. We said there, will we get a winner at Easter Road? Which way will it go? Will we get a winner in the basement battle? Because that will be every bit as nervy for different reasons between Livy and Kilmarnock.
How do you explain, my fellow professionals over here, professional player, professional manager, how do you explain a club who win the League Cup final and then collapse?
Well, they weren't doing well in the league before that either, were they?
I know, but this is,
and they were excellent in the League Cup final.
They're on the slide.
It wasn't a fluke. They deserved every bit of it.
They are assuredly on the slide at the minute.
Yeah, they're really, really struggling. And listen, take nothing away from Falkirk. That's a brilliant result. So far.
And again, you look at St Mirren in the league the last few years have been excellent. Obviously, top six finishes. Yeah. So, and again, you've got that League Cup in the bag. It's been a strange season for St Mirren. Again, they just can't keep a clean sheet. They're not scoring very many goals, so it's a recipe.
Falkirk are in complete control as well.
Are they?
Yeah,
and that's hard to do at St Mirren. Even if St Mirren are not doing brilliant, that is hard to do. Just because of how. And look, I know they don't like it, but tough, it's true. They're big and they're physical. That's not to say it's all that they are, but they just are those things. So to go there and control the game the way Falkirk are is.
Yeah, all credit to them. They've been absolutely brilliant. Their football, everything about them, and they deserve to be where they are. They're there in merit. I've just got a feeling, Gordon, that today's a big day at Livingston. I think Scotty's got to come on, get the winner. 2-1. Okay. Yeah.
Don't say that.
No, think so?
No, I'm just saying don't say that for Kilmarnock's sake.
Scotty Archer, as I called him on Thursday night. I changed his name just for 5 seconds.
Yeah, it wasn't one of your finer moments.
No, it wasn't.
That one. He's just about to come on.
Is he?
I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes.
Right on cue. This could be your big moment.
It is.
If you get this right, this would be.
I didn't even know that. Well, obviously I don't know it because I can't.
What a sense of occasion the man's got. Remember his Falkirk debut last season, the hat-trick. Not score within minutes as well at the start of it. But we'll see if he can have a similar impact for Livy.
Well, David Friel has played up the hometown boy aspect of it all for Scott Arfield, and could be quite a moment for the hometown boy if he gets a winner.
Absolutely. Right, where else are we? Nothing else to tell you about. I'll give you any significant FA Cup goals just if you feel that you need them. But apart from worrying about Sully and Man City running away with it, there's not much else. We told you about the shock earlier on, and the great shock it was. Macclesfield knocking out the holders, Crystal Palace. I think we've got enough on our plate though about Scottish football today. Some changes happening at Easter Road. Callum Slattery has come on for Motherwell to replace Oscar Priestman. Remember, there is no Elliot Watt in the Motherwell midfield. He's injured, so his absence might well be felt. And the goal scorer for Hibs, Kieran Bowie's going off. The big money signing, Thibaut Cleage coming on. I think Chris Cadden, the man who made his name at Motherwell, is going to join the Hibs attack as well. So all to play for.
What about Mystic DL? What do you think about Motherwell at Easter Road then?
I would take a point,
yeah,
but I've got a sneaky that Hibs might just grab the winner, to be honest with you. I'm starting to get a bit worried.
Look at some of the players Hibs got and talk about resource. Don't get me wrong, you can't start going poor Motherwell underdog now, Cammy, when they've been so good this season. But I think Cleage not cost Hibs £1 million.
Yeah.
Able to bring him on. That's.
And I think Motherwell, listen, you look at Motherwell, they are missing players, we all know that, important players for them, but they've certainly held their own in this game, and it just shows you how competitive their squad is. So I genuinely feel as if this game could go either way. I still feel as if Motherwell always have that threat at the top end of the pitch and can score goals, but certainly, as you mentioned, Hibs have got a lot of firepower on the pitch at the moment.
And the home advantage, big crowd there as well.
The biggest crowd, it's that member £5 tickets, and it's full, and it's a brilliant occasion. So that.
Why is it £5 today gone there? Special
They do that every season, do they not? I think for one game.
So that's great. That is great.
That's one way to urge your team on towards the end of a game, isn't it?
It's all very well saying, well, we can afford it, but it's a great exercise in PR.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it certainly is. I think Motherwell actually, because we're talking about those two teams, they've got some nice ticket initiatives coming up in the coming weeks as well, and for the remaining games. So clubs are doing their bit. Obviously they are very It's expensive to go to football games these days, but testament to Scottish football fans, because they still turn out in incredible numbers. There's a Killie penalty claim.
Oh.
Knowing Neil McCann and Billy Dodds as you do you think they're claiming loudly?
Oh, no, I'm sure they're quite restrained, the pair of them.
Put their hand up and saying, please.
Yes.
Please, referee, if you could please sway this decision in our favour. It's John Jules. It's a shot blocked by Pittman, but it is play on.
I'm guessing they would have been a little bit animated at the sideline, both Neil and Billy.
Game of the day might actually be having to dip down to the Championship. Raith Rovers were 2-0 down against Arbroath. They fought back to 2-2, and now Arbroath have taken the 3-2 lead away at Starks Park. Scott Robinson with the goal. A brilliant game there. Falkirk must really be enjoying this. Been 2-0 up at St Mirren, and then not the luxury, but the chance to bring on a new signing as well. Ben Parkinson signed from Newcastle. I think it was announced this morning, and able to bring him on. There's actually a triple change as well. Ross and Williams join him in coming on. Miller, who scored, Yates, who scored, and Cartwright all coming off. So far, a brilliant day's work for Falkirk. Just need to see it over the line.
And so far, a worrying day's work for St Mirren, because they're now firmly rooted to third bottom spot in the league, and they've got injury problems long term, and the rest of the season, I feel, will be a bit of a struggle for them.
Wilson on for Stewart as well. Modern football has no regard for sports reporters anywhere. Is that 4 changes at once? It's hard to keep up with. But anyway, Falkirk rotating quite a lot of that outfield.
But you look at St Mirren again, 4 wins out of 20 is just nowhere near good enough.
No.
And it is so poor. It's surprising from a St Mirren side that we expect to be competitive for that top 6, which they're absolutely not going to be this season. So it's very surprising.
The only thing, a little bit lucky, I know points on the board is everything, but they've got a couple of games in hand. You know what I mean? So, as much as I worry if you're a St Mirren fan, it's not.
And I know they'll have their sights set higher than this, some of them. But if you are talking a worry about relegation, a draw between Livy and Killie does nothing for either of them, does it?
No.
They need wins, those teams.
Yep.
Definitely turn Sully off. Gone for something a bit more light-hearted.
I told you they could get to
Man City
double figures.
Man
City 8-0.
Reminders of the teaser, Hugh. This might be one of the final reminders.
Yep.
Johnny Kenny's had a strike saved by Richards.
In my career, I was managed by Malky Mackay and Ian McCall. I played beside Paul Hartley, Graham Dorrans and Alec Ray. I won multiple Scottish leagues and cups, and I was runner-up in the English League Cup. Who am I?
It's a good question. Lots of you are getting the bit between your teeth now, I would say. In fact, I think most of you pretty much getting there. No more to add, I would say, apart from the other wrong answers that we read out earlier. I don't see any new wrong ones.
Everybody getting it?
No, I said there was a few wrong ones earlier, but I just think all the same ones now, nothing more. So I think you're all heading in the right direction. At Clyde SSB though, if you want to make a late push for it and shows that you know the answer to that question as well, please do. The more the merrier. Send us a tweet, let us know, and don't forget we're probably maybe 20 minutes or so away from the phone lines being open, so jot the number down if for some reason you don't know it. 01419511025. I'm expecting Celtic fans on happy with the return to winning ways under Martin O'Neill. I'm expecting St Mirren fans maybe on a bit annoyed at the way things are in the league at the moment. Who knows whether it will be the Hibs fans or the Motherwell fans who are the happier. And there's a bit of life left in that basement battle as well. So we'll wait and see your old pal Archer, or Arfield to everyone else. He's had a shot saved. Blocked, sorry, Gordon.
Yeah, he's a danger. Watch out.
The first Celtic fan on at 5 o'clock will say Martin O'Neill is back, and therefore the title will be won. So Celtic's next 2 league games: Falkirk away, Hearts away. That will tell us the real story.
It is impossible to say this without making it look like you're taking something away from Martin O'Neill, which is not the intention, Cammy. But timing is important. We spoke about this. Not only was Wilfried Nancy not very good and got things wrong, his first game was against Hearts, and his second game was against Roma, and his third game was a cup final. Whereas where Dundee United are, this is not a bad fixture for Martin O'Neill to come into. But that's what they've won it comfortably. So that, still credit to them.
Yeah, no, listen, you've got to approach it right. You've got to get, because there's pressure on Celtic before the game. They needed to perform. They've not been doing that in recent weeks. The players probably weren't feeling absolutely confident that they normally feel when they're winning games and wanting games to come thick and fast. So yeah, listen, it is a nice game for Martin O'Neill to break his seal in, but Wednesday night's a different one. Away to Falkirk,
that should be good.
That'll be a cracker, because again, we've been speaking today how well Falkirk have done. They're at home, so that'll be a challenge for them, certainly.
And then you go to Tynecastle,
yeah,
and it's quite straightforward. That's the place where your fate will be determined, I think.
I think what's been real impressive about Falkirk as well, Hugh, ahead of that task, is it would be easy to think that they'd be much better at home than they are away, but they've gone on the road and got some really impressive results as well, Falkirk.
Did they get a draw at Ibrox earlier in the season? As I say, the man at 64 years old is a phenomenon. The back-to-back promotions, Falkirk is a club where in a terrible state, and he has lifted the whole place. They get terrific crowds, there's a great fervour about them, and to be in the top six, let's be honest, if he finishes the season in the top six, then his job will have been shown to be magnificent.
Scott Arfield's getting chances, Gordon.
Yeah,
it's a strength. It's a weak one, but he's always been his strength, hasn't it? Being in good areas to pick up opportunities.
Yeah, his timing run into the box is brilliant. His experience, and he's a very, very good finisher as well. Don't be surprised, wait for it coming.
VAR check for handball by Mandron. This could get even worse for St Mirren. Cross from Wilson. Fraser thinks it hit his stomach, and St Mirren, they certainly feel they've been hard done by some VAR decisions this season. I don't think they'll be able to use that as an excuse today, but it might be one that rubs salt in the wounds. We'll wait and see. We've actually been no penalty, so on we go. We've been a wee bit short on major VAR drama in recent weeks, to be honest, but there we go. Sure, it'll be back at some point. It's kind of end-to-end stuff at Easter Road. Motherwell do look like they're breaking with purpose, and they've had some good opportunities. I think Callum Slattery fired one over the bar, and others, but Hibs look dangerous as well. They're taking a direct approach at times and getting up in second balls, and they look like a real threat as well. So going to be a fascinating end to that one. Stenhousemuir will win it comfortably 4-0 against East Fife. Dale Carrick with the goal there. And the Celtic are they settling for 4, Hugh, do you suspect?
I suspect not. I think they'd like a 5. 5 has a nice ring to it. But all the fans will think about today is that Martin O'Neill is back. They look like a football team again. All of the eccentricity that Wilfried Nancy brought with him, that's gone. You've now got the realism of Martin O'Neill, and they have done their jobs very well. As I say, the next 2 league games, Falkirk away, Hearts away, that will tell us what's what.
You made an interesting point in the office yesterday. You thought there's no point in continually poring over all the things that Wilfried Nancy got wrong and continuing to batter the guy. But a piece, Stephen McGowan put out in the Herald last night, a sort of an investigation, if you like, or a look into some of the things that Wilfried Nancy maybe got wrong behind the scenes. And I think the one that everybody's latched onto, Cammy and Gordon, maybe more for you, having played, is, and I actually saw this with my own eyes. I didn't feel it was appropriate to come on here and say it. I didn't want to kick the guy, and it's not my role or not my place, but I did kind of want. I ran it past a lot of people I know, or any professional footballer I spoke to. I thought I'll ask them just to see how they react, to see if it's normal. But I saw this when they were doing their rondos, their boxes, whatever you call it at the start, just the warm up, and it's always pass, and you've seen it before. And Wilfried Nancy was sort of coming over and like stopping it and telling really, really decorated Celtic players sort of how to turn their body and how to get the ball and how to pass it. And I did what it set off a reaction in me where I thought, I don't think that's right. I don't think you need that at this level. But also, who am I? I don't know what I'm talking about. I run a football phone in 6 to 8 in a weeknight. But that's when I started saying to people, maybe when Scott Allen came in or Andy Halliday, and they would go, oh no, that the players will hate that. They will absolutely hate it. Are they right to hate it? Or do players need to give managers a chance to do things their way?
No, certainly from my point of view, rondo boxes, whatever you want to call it, I think it's just to get players moving, it's to get the ball moving, their eye in on it. It's generally used as a warm-up, to be honest. So, see, coaching players at level of Celtic in a rondo box, I find very, very bizarre. And I don't think the players would take too well to that, to be honest, because as I say, I don't think it's a technical drill that you're actually doing. It's more for me to get the players going in a sort of warm-up.
And those players, Gordon, no one's immune to getting advice, and they should always look to take stuff on, but players of that level probably know how to receive it in the boxes, don't they?
Listen, it was just, maybe you just try and make a statement. I don't know. The only thing you would do as a manager is, if it was slack, you would maybe have a go at one or two and say, listen, come on, it's part of the warm-up, we're on it today, we really want to concentrate. But to get in and coach it, no, I'm sorry, I'm agreeing with every other professional. It's not on.
If Celtic don't win the league, then it'll be the fault of the club for appointing Wilfried Nancy. It was...
But see, at the same time, Hearts have been top of the table for ages. It's not like Celtic were top and then, I know they made up ground, but it's not like they were top, collapsed under Wilfried Nancy, and are now guaranteed to pick up and just can't pull it back. A lot's gone wrong with Celtic this season.
Oh, absolutely. But that was, for me, one man's opinion, dereliction of duty to appoint Wilfried Nancy, to give him a club of Celtic size with the background of scant experience that he had. It was dereliction of duty on Celtic's part.
Jordan McGee has come on for a Motherwell debut. I would forgive lots of non-Motherwell fans for forgetting that he was there, because it was seen as it was a good signing. Jordan's got a lot of experience, did a lot of good things at Dundee, was signed for Motherwell. Motherwell had high hopes, and he's just had a rotten time with injuries. I think it was back-to-back injuries, separate ones, and he's really had to wait. And now he comes on for his debut, Cammy.
Yeah, listen, imagine he comes on and scores a winner again. That would be, we've seen him score a lot of goals for Dundee over the years.
Interesting to see where he plays, because he's one of the better utility men in Scottish football.
Very versatile, yeah. And again, that's why I think he is a good signing. It's just been really unfortunate, because I think he's a good player. I really do like him. So yeah, it's nice to see him getting some time on the pitch and away from that physio room.
I think Michael Vimmer, remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was the one that involved in it in the start. I think he maybe saw him as a kind of defensive midfield player, but then maybe Jens Bertolascu would see him as one of these ball playing centre backs, because he seems to turn everybody into that, and Jordan McGee's got a lot of experience there, so Roger can tell us where he's
it will be interesting, because I think he, as you mentioned, he can play that centre midfielder, he can play centre back, he can play on the right hand side, wherever.
Full-time Celtic Park, Andrew McLean.
Celtic 4, Dundee United 0, the full-time score, and it's like Martin O'Neill has never been away. A 4-0 win here in the opening game of his first interim spell, and a win by the same scoreline on his return. And you've kind of felt from the early stages of this game it was going to be a comfortable win for Celtic. Dalziel Maeda hitting the bar 20 minutes in was a sign of danger for Dundee United, and they couldn't really help but being steamrolled by Martin O'Neill's team throughout this afternoon. It was Yang who scored the opener. He received a pass from Liam Scales at the edge of the box, fired a low shot into the bottom corner for 1-0. A sense of relief from the Celtic supporters in here, because they wouldn't have recognised the Celtic side they saw over the past few weeks, but it turned into a game that we have seen countless times here at Celtic Park. It was Arne Engels who then got the second. Tierney's cut back to him around the penalty spot. Engels with a nice side-footed finish into the bottom corner, and the fans responding with that Martin O'Neill chant. Dundee United changed their shape at the break, but there was no change in fortunes whatsoever. Benjamin Nygren continuing his goal-scoring season off the bench. Arne Engels' shot was blocked, fell kindly towards Nygren inside the box. It was a bit under his feet, but he did well to dig it out and pick out the top corner for 3-0. Celtic needing a striker, but Dalziel Maeda then showing what he can do when he's put through the middle. It was a poacher's goal as well. Sebastian Tenecti's strike was parried by Dave Richards. It went straight to Dalziel Maeda, and he just smashed the ball into the empty net, and that was that for the afternoon. The players just making their way around the park, applauding the supporters as Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney stand on the touchline and watch. Things are back to normal, a lot of Celtic fans would say, after that performance, but they've got to back it up midweek when they visit Falkirk. A full-time score at Celtic Park. Celtic 4, Dundee United 0.
It's a good win that for Celtic fans. Phone us right now, 01419511025. How does it feel to have Martin O'Neill back, to be back winning games of football, to be back keeping clean sheets? Call us right now, because we're about to take calls. It's full time in the basement battle in Livy. David Friel.
Yeah, Neil McCann is also back in management. Gordon full-time, Livingston 1, Kilmarnock 1. Neil McCann back, and he's got a point in his first game as Kelly boss. He'll probably be happier Then his Livy counterpart David Martindale, Marcus Stacker's come off the bench to score the goal that keeps Kelly 4 points ahead of the Premiership's bottom side. It's not a perfect start for Neil McCann, but I think he'll be pleased with the attitude of his players, especially in the second half. As for Livy, it's a chance missed really. They were 1-0 up thanks to Conor McLaren's first half goal. They had a chance through Tete Yengi to make it 2-0. They didn't take those chances, didn't take chances at the end either. And they're made to pay as a long winless run continues. They stay bottom of the league, they still haven't won a Premiership game since August. And David Martindale will look back in this game with regrets. So will Brooklyn Cabangolo. There was a crazy opening spell. The Livy defender booked inside 2 minutes. He then committed another 2 fouls before being subbed off after just 10 minutes. Kelly did okay in the first half. It didn't really carry a threat in the final third. Livingston were a lot more dangerous, so they took the lead in the first half. Injury time. Collie Tate, great run down the left pad and a great cross for Conor McLaren, who made no mistake. A lot of tension there at the start of the second half. Both teams scrapping for every ball. The game became a bit niggly. David Martindale was also booked for dissent as his side pushed for a second goal. Stephen May put a free kick over the bar. Tete Yengi then had the best chance, burst into the box on the left side, powerful shot off the underside of the bar, and Kelly cleared it. Fair play to Neil McCann, he had to throw on attackers, he threw on Marcus Stackers, and he made an impact with the equaliser in 70 minutes. Ball thrown into a very busy box. Dacker's first shot saved by Jerome Prior, but he managed to steer the rebound in. Kelly did have a little spell of pressure after that, but Livy looked more likely late on. Martindale set on Scott Arfield, Alex Tam for their debuts. Both had shots saved by Toby Uluwemi, and the winner basically proved elusive for both teams, as it has too often this season. Full time, Livingston 1, Kilmarnock 1.
Well, big game. It's always going to be a big scoreline either way, but maybe a draw that doesn't do either side many favours. Kilmarnock fans still like to get your first impressions of Neil McCann, though. Get in touch right now. The phone lines are in the process of opening. It's going to be a tense end to the game at Easter Road. Motherwell are really going for it at the end, but Hibs again still look dangerous on the break as well. There were 4 minutes added. We're deep into that, but there was a bit of a stoppage as well, some handbags there. Man City, I know we've been keeping an eye on it for a number of reasons. We were watching the score tick up, and Gary Caldwell is the Exeter manager. It did go 10 in the end. Man City 10, Exeter 1. I can see the scoreline coming there. We're not finished yet in Paisley, but I don't think we're going to get late drama there. It looks like the Falkirk Bairns will take all 3 points. Maybe, do you know what, Hugh? Let's scrap the dramatic music. Just tell me your teaser and your answer quickly, and I'll get that out of the way as well.
In my career, I was managed by Malcolm Mackay and Ian McCall, played beside Paul Hartley, Graham Dorrans and Alec Ray, won multiple Scottish League and Cups, and was a runner-up in the English League Cup final. I'm Kenny Miller. Kenny Miller, well done. Stephen Lauder, who was third, DC 72, who was second, and Ross McDowell, who was the winner. Well done to you all. It's full-time Easter Road. Roger Hannah.
It is, Gordon. It's Hibernian 1, Motherwell 1, nothing between them today, and still just 2 points between them in the race for 4th place in the Premiership table. It took a little while this one to heat up. In fact, the only notable moment in the opening quarter was Stephen O'Donnell going off injured in 17 minutes to be replaced by John Coutrumbis. There were chances at either end before half time. Both goalkeepers Callum Ward and Raphael Salinger having to make saves. Salinger denying both Tom Sparrow and Tawanda Maswanisi at one end, while Ward was making saves from Eli Ewan at the other end. The second half, Hibs actually started quite brightly. They sent on Junior Hoylett to replace Jamie McGrath early in the second half, and they were pushing, but then they were caught out in 52 minutes. A lightning break from one end to the other. Tawanda Maswanisi in the inside right channel inside the box, and the Zimbabwean cracked a low right foot shot across goalkeeper Salinger and just inside the far post. It was a cracking opening goal, and it really gave Motherwell the initiative in the game. But Hibs, fair play to them, they fought back. A great ball over the top of Tom Sparrow's head. It freed Jordan Obita wide in the left after 69 minutes. The left back fired a ball into the 6-yard box. It actually looked as if it would get caught between Kieran Bowie's feet initially, but the Scotland star quickly corrected himself and fired high past Callum Ward for 1-1. Hibs initially after that looked as if they could push, but it was actually Motherwell in the closing stages who fought hardest and went closest to getting the breakthrough goal. Ibrahim Said headed wide when he should have hit the target from a cross from the right by Callum Slattery. Manny Longello, one of several bookings by Matthew McDermott in this game, he had a shot that was saved and pushed behind by goalkeeper Salinger as the game went into 4 minutes of added time. Very little to separate them, nothing on the day. 2 points in the league title, Gordon, in the league chase, Gordon, for 4th place. There'll be a lot more you hear of these two teams before the season's out. The final score at Easter Road, Hibernian 1, Motherwell 1.
And last but not least, Paisley, Fraser Wishart.
Yeah, finishing on 0, Falkirk 2. You can hear the noisy away support to my right hand side. We're about 3 or 4 minutes after the end of the game. Still really delighted with the result. The players standing in front of them taking the applause. No wonder, because this is a deserved and emphatic victory for Falkirk. 2 second-half goals by Yates and Miller gave them the victory, but I think as much as the 3 points, it'll be the manner of the win and the team's confident, dominant performance that'll please John McGlynn. But to make a bad day worse for Stephen Robinson, he lost Donnelly, Phillips and George to injury during the game, and that's added to a long list of injuries they had already. First half, very few chances at either end. Dylan Tate had it shot, took a deflection off Fraser, hit the bar and over for a corner. Scott Bain had a few saves to make, all pretty routine, but some of the play had been promising. We just need a goal to fire us in the second half, and it did take off for Falkirk. 2 quick goals, 55th minute came the opener, brilliant Dylan Tate pass sent Calvin Miller in behind as he was latching onto the ball. Jamal George came out of his box 25 yards out and dived in front of him to block as Miller tried to take it round, but the ball fell and bounced to Finn Yates, who first time lobbed the ball over the defenders into an empty net from 35 yards. It was great skill by the young midfield player. It was 2-0 and all over in 61 minutes. Yates again involved. He hit the ball to Calvin Miller. He was quickly able to get the ball under control, tried a shot, it was blocked, but he was onto the loose ball and fired high into the net from about 12 yards with his right foot. He was playing as striker, Miller. He was a real threat throughout the whole game, and Falkirk were now in complete control, knocking the ball around. The spirit was knocked out of St Mirren. Bairns passing the ball around. Miller a constant threat. Saints fans understandably quiet. Both sides made some substitutions. The final throw of the dice after all the injuries. Dykesdale for Lundulu for St Mirren, but that made no difference. In fact, Falkirk debutant sub Ben Parkinson was the man nearly scored with what would have been his first touch in Scottish football. A low Kerriel Wilson cross just evaded the young striker as he tried to get onto the ball a few yards out in front of the empty goal. But Bairns just saw the game out currently. He never felt that St Mirren would score. So Falkirk's wonderful season continues. They stretched the gap between themselves and 6th and Dundee United in 7th. But for St Mirren, after all the excitement of that cup win only 1 month ago, it's hit a really difficult period this season, and they're looking down the table at Kilmarnock and Livingston rather than up. 12 points between them and Falkirk in 6th place. Full time here, St Mirren 0, Falkirk 2.
It was almost impossible for today to end without any headlines because of how big all the fixtures were and the storylines attached to them. So what did you make of it all? Celtic fans, give us a call right now. How did it feel to have Martin O'Neill back? You're back to winning ways. There's a clean sheet in there as well, some important goals being scored, and of course one that does the league table picture the world of good. So 01419511025, give us all your thoughts there as you make your way out the stadium. St Mirren fans, what is happening in the aftermath of that cup win? Nothing would ever change the cup win. You would have kept that if you'd been given the choice. I'm absolutely sure that day will live long in the memory. But what is going on in the league? A home defeat, and again credit to Falkirk if you fans want to give us a call there. A share of the spoils between Hibs and Motherwell. Motherwell stay above Hibs. And a pretty good game by all accounts at Easter Road. So calls in there please. And Killie fans, what are your first impressions of the Neil McCann era? We'll take those as well before we preview Aberdeen v Rangers. Not to be missed. Another hour for your calls. Call us just now. We'll speak to you next.
Take my money. Bow before chicken, then bow again. The KFC double deal. 2 fillet burgers and 2 drinks for $5.99. Perform the ritual. Get the deal. Believe in chicken. KFC. Until 8th of February, subject to availability. Participating restaurants only. Excludes delivery. Full T's and C's at kfc.co.uk.
I'm Professor Noel Fitzpatrick, and as a vet, I know you want the best care for your animal companion. Pet insurance can help, but you need to choose wisely as not all policies are the same. Pet Plan aim to pay claims quickly and without a fuss, and that's one reason why so many vets work with them.
Get your pet the best veterinary care. Save 10% on new policies when you insure at petplan.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Fits all media as an appointed representative of Pet Plan Limited.
Do something mighty for Macmillan Cancer Support. Take on the Rob Roy Mighty Hike on the 29th of August and experience tranquil forests and incredible views of the Trossachs National Park. You'll be raising life-changing funds and making lifelong memories. Choose a full or half marathon and join 35,000 fellow hikers for an event like no other. Search Mighty Hikes and use the code NEWYEAR25 to save 25% before the end of February. Macmillan Cancer Support. Together we can improve cancer care for everyone.
Buzzing for the game this week. I want to hear what my mates are saying. I want to tell them they're delusional. I want to tell them who'll score first. I want to call the half-time score and the full-time score. And when our kid pipes up and says, "Want to bet?" I'll stop. Think about it. Check my limits. Check how much I've played. And maybe I'll think, nah, not today, mate. Sometimes the best bet is the one you don't make. Gamble responsibly. Betfred. 18+, gambleaware.org.
You can't do much in under 5 minutes. Boil an egg? Sure. Cook a roast dinner? No chance.
But comparing car insurance prices with mustard.co.uk? Easy. See what you could save in just a few minutes. Click mustard.co.uk. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. See website for details.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
We are back to look backwards on everything that's happened today and perhaps preview tomorrow's action as well. If live streaming is your thing, if you've just sat all afternoon and thought, I'm loving what I'm hearing on Clyde One Super Scoreboard, but do you know what would make it? If I could just see Hugh Keevins' face. Well, your wishes are command. So head over to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want, and the live stream is now up and running as always. Whilst we take your calls, 0141 951 1025. Celtic, big win for them under Martin O'Neill, of course. St Mirren's struggles continue, a share of the spoils between the informed Hibs and Motherwell, and again a share of the spoils in the basement battle between Livy and Kilmarnock, and the small matter of an Aberdeen Rangers game with league leaders going to Dundee as Hearts make that trip as well, Hugh. So it should be a lively hour or so we've got left.
That's the importance of Celtic's win today. It puts pressure on Hearts and Rangers, both away. I know you would favour Hearts and Rangers to win even though they are away, but Celtic's win increases the pressure on them, and I repeat, he's here, Martin O'Neill, to undo the work that was done by Wilfried Nancy. And the decision to appoint Wilfried Nancy was dereliction of duty on Celtic's part and a betrayal of the Celtic fans.
Paddy is first through. Paddy, was it like Martin O'Neill had never been away?
Yes. Yes, it was. Firstly, guys, I hope you indulge me. I missed my niece's birthday on the 7th of January. She turned 14, Orla. She always listens into the programme. And her birthday present is gathering dust in my wallet. And I'll thank you.
I thought you were going to say her birthday present's a shout out on Super Scoreboard. I thought, Paddy, come on, get the finger out. Well, happy birthday, Orla, belated. Hope it was a good one.
Thank you very much for that, Gordon. And I'll tell you what, I was on a couple of weeks ago, and it pains me to say this. I've been calling in for a number of years and had a number of set-tos between myself and Mr. Keevins, and he was right. He was right in what he said.
Finally.
I maintained that it wouldn't make any difference if Celtic lost to Motherwell and Rangers. Celtic would persevere, and we would sign those 3 central defenders from the Bundesliga and a striker, perhaps from a similar league, that would enable his formation to succeed. But Hugh was bang on the money, and I was wrong. Does she want to come back on that? Or
don't indulge him, Paddy.
No. I'm just sorry, Paddy, because Orla's disowned you as a relative, and you need to go over that. But as I say, I repeat, Martin O'Neill is here to see if he can save Celtic from what Wilfried Nancy did to Celtic. The 6 defeats in 8 games crippled Celtic in terms of the league. They should have been way higher than they are, much more of a threat to Hearts, and the decision to appoint him will live with Celtic forever.
Paddy, everyone knew it would return to a back 4 today and all that sort of stuff. There was no mystique because Martin O'Neill was only here a month or so ago, so you kind of knew what he was going to do. Dundee United are not in a great place, so it was maybe a nice fixture as well to get, but clearly job done and then some today, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. Yep. I'm going to settle. I'm going to settle for the boring back 4. Settle for whatever Martin O'Neill can do to salvage our season, and I think a lot of it is just going to depend on what we can do in this transfer window. I don't think Celtic will abandon their principles of getting value for money. However, I think the board will indulge Martin O'Neill, and quite rightly they should. They owe him that much, and they'll put on a few sticking plasters that will be required for us to get the job done this season. And I think Martin O'Neill, he's got off to a great start again, and we need another important job against high-flying Falkirk on Wednesday. So there's nothing that can be taken for granted there. But yeah, this is going to be an important transfer window, and I think that's going to be key.
That's the thing, Gordon, about there is not a Celtic fan or any observer out there on this planet that doesn't think this Celtic squad is not as good as it should be and that it doesn't need help. But the gaps that should exist in Scottish football, Celtic should be able to be not a good version of themselves sometimes, but still win domestic games comfortably. That's kind of like what Martin O'Neill restored today for the Celtic fans, because it was a spell there where any team in the league could score against them, any team looked capable of getting points, and even when Celtic aren't at their best, even when they do need signings, that still shouldn't be the case. And it almost just felt like a bit of normality today.
What I think we witnessed today was the difference in class between managers, Gordon. You look at a manager that played 8 games excuse me, and lost 18 goals. Martin O'Neill come in, staring you right in the face. Celtic right now with personnel are a back 4 team, no doubt about it. Went to back 4, won comfortably, and guess what? Got a clean sheet, first time since 8 games. So Martin O'Neill's come in there, he steadied the ship. We heard the reports that are coming in. The players seem to buy into everything he does. He's a great man manager, there's no doubt about that. He's got a good team under him. Listen, I keep going back to it, and I said it earlier in the show, I think this title is not going to be decided in Martin O'Neill, because I think if you look from Derek McInnes to Danny Rule at Rangers, Martin O'Neill, the 3 of them have got very good managers. I'll come down to who recruits the best in January.
What was still cautious of massive conclusions, Cammy, because are Celtic in a place where you're sure they're going to beat Falkirk midweek? Maybe not quite yet. I don't know if, the Celtic fans can phone and tell me if I'm wrong on that. So there's no point in us saying that. That's it, everything's fixed. Yep. Nancy's gone, Martin O'Neill's back. Need to wait and see if he can put a run together like he did last time. But clearly, if you're taking the game that we just witnessed, it was job done.
Yeah, job done. They're in a better place. Certainly, players will be much more confident. As I said before, they'll be more comfortable with that system. The players they have available at this moment in time suits that system, and I think the way Martin O'Neill goes about his business with the media, just handles the club very, very well. So they're in a much better place going to Falkirk. Will it be easy going there? Absolutely not, because Falkirk are a very good team, but it's a game that Celtic need to win again on Wednesday, and Martin O'Neill understands that. That's the big thing for me, is that he understands if he wants to win the league, he needs to go to Falkirk and win. So that's the difference between him and the old manager.
Helps though, Hugh, like I said, I have no interest in cutting Wilfried Nancy slack because it's pointless and he's gone. But the players took their early chances today, and all of a sudden you're 2-0 up, then things are a bit more comfortable.
I think the players responded directly to the return of Martin O'Neill. He spreads positivity throughout the club. From the moment Nancy arrived, he spread negativity throughout the club. Celtic, the dressing room, the stands, everything was on a downer, because everyone knew they had someone in charge who didn't deserve to be in charge and who was incompetent. And now Martin O'Neill is back, and it's positivity. I repeat, next 2 league games, Falkirk away, Hearts away, that will tell us exactly what Martin O'Neill is going to be able to do.
Thank you very much to Paddy. 01419511025. That is the number that you need, so please get in touch, let us know what you took away from today's action. We'd love to get all the immediate thoughts. That's the beauty of Saturdays on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Stephen's a Celtic fan. What's on your mind, Stephen?
Hi, Farnell, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Good, are you well?
Just out the game, obviously, as a lot of fans would have seen, notable improvement. Just imagine changing the formation back to something that worked. Shows that it wasn't all on the manager, or it wasn't the manager, sorry, should I say. But my point today is more on, we're still missing chances because we don't have a number 9, and that is all on the board. Well, 10 days into the transfer window, we've had, I think it's 15 months or 18 months to replace Kyogo. I think they were riding on the Kyogo loan coming off to then kind of tide it over to the summer. And obviously he's now decided that he wants to fight for his place at Birmingham. But if at the end of the month he might not get the place, he might come. Like, why is this the kind of level of negligence that the fans are having to put up with?
Well, you use the only appropriate word, negligence. If you go back over the calendar year of 2025, desperate transfer windows, for which Celtic subsequently apologised when they failed to make the Champions League by losing to a team from Kazakhstan. And here we go again. But there is no structure within the club. You know, as I said, Sean Maloney has got 3 different jobs now at Celtic Park. He's looking after the pathway for the young in the academy. He's coaching the first team to help Martin O'Neill, and in his spare time he's trying to find players. The infrastructure is a disgrace, and they have a very important transfer window ongoing, but it's what happens while it's ongoing. You know, they're away to Falkirk, they're away to Hearts. They needed a centre forward in, a striker in now. You know, because by the time you get to the end of, or the beginning of February when the window closes, you might have done yourself further damage. So the whole transfer business, the appointment of Paul Tisdale was another betrayal of the Celtic fans and the Celtic players. And in terms of transfer windows, they are a complete and utter shambles.
We have to add the caveat that it's the 10th of January. Maybe Celtic get this right. Maybe it's brilliant by the end. So, fine. As things stand, though, see of all the managers that surely would get the backing, surely Martin O'Neill would be up there. I take the point that he's not staying till beyond the end of the season, which maybe muddies the waters, but there is no way, even if they did, which would be quite an accusation, if the Celtic board were of a mind to sort of leave a manager to or hang a manager out to dry, that guy is not Martin O'Neill. So it does go back to the conclusion that if they can't get a good striker in, it's because they're not very good at it, rather than any sort of, you know, deliberate move to withhold anything. Because Martin O'Neill would demand the backing, surely.
Well, he was holding all the cards. He was holding all the cards when he come back. And you're right, Martin O'Neill's such a high figure there, such a strong figure, that they've got to back him. Look, there was talk about Kyogo didn't want to come now because of the situation down at Birmingham. Fine, that's not a problem. I am very, very surprised that, you know, they've not lined up. Me personally, I think they need 2 in, right? I know Maeda played through the middle today.
Would that depend if, and I don't know, because he's not back training yet, so I don't think it's immediately imminent. Would you not take Iheanacho as your number 2 if he was fit?
Yes, if he was fit.
And then Maeda added into the mix and Kenny.
There's a big question mark. If he was fit, that's my worry with him, right? So to safeguard yourself when the window closes, I would try and maybe booster that front position for me. But you look at Celtic today, as much as we're talking about they need a striker, they scored 4 goals. They scored 4 goals and got a clean sheet. So it shows you that they can get goals from other departments. Maeda played as a number 9 today, scored. Maeda played last year and won every award that was going and scored 31 goals, whatever it may be. So they've got a guy in there that can score, but they need, going forward in this next couple of months, they need backup in there as well.
Celtic are out of date. As a club, they're out of date.
They need to bring in recruitments, because again, when you look at the number 9, it will be a problem when they play better opposition. I'm not saying Dundee United are a really poor opposition, but when they start to play your Hearts, your Rangers, the games that are really going to decide the title this season, they're going to need a guy that can hang their hat on and score goals. I think Celtic need to back Martin O'Neill. He's the man that can win them the title this season. So they've got this January transfer window just now. They need to back him. They need to allow him to bring in players that he thinks can win them the title.
But the reason I say they're out of date, they have no analytics. If you said that to somebody inside Celtic Park, they'd try and order it from a chemist.
I'm sure they do, to be fair. They're going to have a version of that, Hugh.
I think they've had to rip up, but Paul Tisdale's obviously had a major role in it, and they've had to rip that up because he's failed.
Celtic don't analyse players. Of course they do. Just because
they'll have a recruitment process. Of course they will.
Who's running it then?
But that's what I'm saying. It's failed, so they've had to rip that up. They're having to replace that because, again, your man Paul Tisdale's he's failed at the job that he's done. So again, they're having to look to bring somebody else in. It won't just be him. There'll be a whole recruitment department. But again, it needs looked at because it's not worked.
Stephen, anything else that impressed you today, though? Whether that maybe be some individuals or anything like that?
I think. And the defence, obviously, going back to the four at the back, the defence looked a lot more sturdy. Obviously, we got a clean sheet. I think it's the forward position that I think is the real worrying part. I think as much as we got 4 goals a day, it probably should have been 6-0 because there was 2 solid chances that if we had a really solid kind of poacher, I'm just going to use Chris Boyd. I don't want to use him, but a good analogy is Chris Boyd. Like a poacher, a guy that can just get the ball comes in and he's just there and it's in the back of the net. So it would have been 6-0. And then also we'll get kind of Kenny. I don't mean to hammer the kind of young guy, but he's just not good enough for Celtic. He had a chance, an offside. It was offside, and the keeper did get a palm at it, but it probably should have been in the back of the net. So it just feels like going forward, that's the kind of main issue, and is what's been just said. Once we start going up against the kind of better oppositions, that the Rangers and Hearts, even though Rangers aren't that great now, and Hearts, I still think they're beatable, because when you look at the kind of previous scores the last couple of weeks, they've not been like doing the 4-0s and the 5-0s themselves. They've been kind of scraping by, but you might not get as many chances as we did today. So you need a striker that can actually, if we get one chance, it needs to be in the back of the net, as opposed to this 4 or 5 chances where it might be in the back of the net out of one of them.
Depends, Gordon, because there's obviously people will look at stats and XG and all that sort of stuff. I think Celtic scored 4 today. I think the XG sat a bit below that, and I know, listen, that's got its flaws and not everyone buys it, but I don't know. You're never going to take all your chances.
100%.
So I wonder if actually also a key part of Celtic recruiting a striker, whoever that striker may be, is what that guy can do to their overall play. Can it be a real key to the way they build, to the way he holds, involves other people? It's sometimes easy to watch a game, say, we scored 4, but we created 7 chances, so it could have been 7-0 if the striker was better.
Doesn't happen.
If we're talking about recruitment process and the effectiveness of it, you'd like to think that whoever that person is really going to add to the overall way that Celtic attack, rather than just putting the ball in the net.
Right, I think the most important thing, if you're going to win the league, everybody talks about prolific striker. Everybody would love one. Of course they would. Stephen talks about Chris Boyd, your Larson, your McCoys, guys like that. They just know where the back of net is. See, for me, the biggest thing is where the other goals are coming from. And I look at Celtic today, 2 of their midfield players get goals. Right, so all of a sudden you're thinking we've got threats from other departments. If this poacher guy is maybe not finding the back of net, which is so important going forward,
because Yang's now scored them back to back.
Correct.
But compared to other seasons, that's maybe where Celtic are actually lacking. Think of the goals they used to get from the wide areas. Now Dyson Maeda is a bit blurred now because he sometimes plays through the middle, but you know what I mean. Remember Abada, Jota, Maeda and so on. That's another way to add goals rather than just signing a striker.
Yeah, listen, I think signing a striker is very important, yes, and you can't get away from that, but I think Daz is right that, listen, you've got to look at where else the goals can come from, because your striker won't score goals every single week. We'd love him to score goals for you, whoever your number 9 is for your team, to score goals, but you've also got to have goals coming from different departments. You mentioned the wide areas. Can they chip in with a couple of goals? Celtic have got midfielders that can score, so I think if they can find a number 9 that will get them a number of goals in the big games, and I get what Stephen's saying, because I totally agree. I think the big games is where you're looking for your number 9 to get them 1 or 2 opportunities. They've got to go in the back of it. So yeah, listen, it'll be interesting to see where they go in the January transfer window.
Thank you, Stephen. It's a good time to call 01419511025 if you want to continue looking back on that game today at Celtic Park. You can do. I'd like to hear from some other fans though, St Mirren fans. What's happening there? That league table's not looking pretty. You of course have the League Cup in the cabinet, but surely needing an upturn in Premiership form. A share of the spoils in the big game at the bottom, Livy Kilmarnock and at Easter Road, with the two teams in form, Hibs and Motherwell. And what about the trip to Pittodrie tomorrow, Rangers fans? No Connor Barron, he's out injured for a while. Danny Rule seemed quite optimistic that you could have new signings in by then. They've not confirmed yet. Still plenty of hours left in the day, so get all your calls in please, and we'll speak to you next.
When you're cozied up on the sofa, when the drama's got you totally hooked, when you're completely engrossed in what's about to happen. Hey, did you eat all these?
Oh, sorry, didn't notice.
Go on, there's more in the kitchen. Nothing brings us together like great TV. And a TV licence covers you to watch all TV channels, plus BBC iPlayer, so you can make the most of those long dark nights. Search TV licence together.
Do something mighty for Macmillan Cancer Support. Take on the Rob Roy Mighty Hike on the 29th of August and experience tranquil forests and incredible views of the Trossachs National Park. You'll be raising life-changing funds and making lifelong memories. We support you every step of the way with delicious food and even a glass of bubbly with your Mighty Medal. Search Mighty Hikes and use the code NEWYEAR25 to save 25% before the end of February. Macmillan Cancer Support. Together we can improve cancer care for everyone.
It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line 0141 951 1025.
Hugh Keevins, Cammy Bell, Gordon Dalziel all in the studio waiting for your calls. I don't know if there's something strange in the air. The last caller was saying, I need to hold my hands up. Hugh was right. I've now had Stephen send a message to say, could you just mention to Hugh that he got a selfie with my wife Rachel at the school gates?
I did, yes.
And she said that you're her favourite pundit. Who says things like that? Come on.
Rachel, obviously she was, yeah.
He's actually sent me the picture. You've gone with the old Peaky Blinders bonnet on. Is that the way you're?
Love that. Yeah,
is that the way you're strutting about Bearsden these days?
Yeah.
Hugh, that suits you.
Yeah.
I can't believe you are favourite pundit, by the way.
Tell me about it.
Yeah,
there we go. Bonnet on for the winter.
Yeah. I'd walked it to the school. I think it's maybe 2 miles from where I live, and I walked it.
Fit as a fiddle, honestly. You get your perma grips on in this weather.
No,
it's this time of the year you usually bring your high techs in.
Yeah.
Not going for the change of shoe before the show.
I've tried to cultivate a kind of sophisticated old gent image.
So you've ditched the high techs.
So I've got the Peaky Blinders bonnet and the coat,
the hush puppies,
and all the rest.
Good
of it.
on you. You stay safe out there in this treacherous weather. Raja is on the line. How's it going?
How you doing? I'm no bad. I just wanted to make a couple of points. First of all, do you think the board will back Martin O'Neill now? I mean, they made a farce of that, Nancy and that. And to be honest, if Nancy had a proper striker, I think Celtic would have won.
Right, hold on a wee second. Raja maybe apologise for his language. If you are offended, it's Raja's words, which I'm sure he takes back and apologises.
But
I think that's only maybe a yellow card offence.
Yeah, but
we get the logic of
Raja's
the point.
theme is correct. The board have no option other than to back Martin O'Neill, because whoever runs Celtic made a dreadful mistake that could cost Celtic the league. They appointed Wilfried Nancy, and he then took the club on a descent into chaos. So they have no option other than to back Martin O'Neill. The worry you have about Celtic in transfer windows is that nobody knows what they're doing. But you've got an example today, Benjamin Negrin, who's got 15 goals for the season overall, who has 9 in the Premiership. You should uncover players like that to help Martin O'Neill out. I think the Celtic fans today were comforted by the fact that the team went back to normality, a back four. Now, what's also normality for Celtic is an outstanding number 9. This is the club of Sutton and Hearts and McAvenny and Nicholas and all the great Celtic strikers, McClare, all the great strikers of the past. This is a club, Kyogo. They need an out-and-out recognised number 9 to spearhead the assault on the title.
You say that, I disagree with you slightly. I know where you're coming from. You say that nobody knows what they're doing. I think the manager and the backroom staff certainly know what they're doing, Hugh. And going and getting players, I think they're already in that discussion. You look at the talk of Kyogo. He starts today for Birmingham.
does he?
Yeah. So this may be a case of last chance saloon for him. Would it be a case of maybe on Monday that Kyogo could change his mind? Because for me, looking at that starting line-up with Birmingham, Kyogo's been told prior, before the Celtic move, that he's going to get an opportunity.
But there are other number 9s in the world apart from Kyogo.
Yeah, but listen, it's okay saying there are. Yes, I totally agree with you. It's going and getting them and getting the right fit. Martin O'Neill would have taken Kyogo into the building without a shadow of a doubt, because he thinks he's going to be the right fit for Celtic. It might not happen. It might be a case of he stays at Birmingham. But I think that they'll be active. Sean Maloney, Martin O'Neill, and whoever's working in between them, they're certainly not been sitting in their hands. So I would expect, like everybody else, there'll be more people coming in this to Celtic Park within the next 4 or 5 days.
The board need to trust Martin O'Neill. Again, they've brought him back to the club for a reason, that it wasn't working. It was working when he was last here for that short period. Now they've brought him back because they've made a mistake. They need to trust him. Between now and the end of the season, they've probably got to think short term. Can we bring players in that Martin O'Neill thinks can do a turn, can win them the league? So they need to trust him. And again, Kyogo, touching on Kyogo, I understand why they look at Kyogo and look at the potential of bringing him back, because the risks are low. The risks for me, he's done it, he's been here and done it in the league. I'm not saying there's no guarantee in any player bringing him to the club that it's going to work, but I think the risks are low. He's scored goals in this league, he understands the league, so I think that would be a no-brainer if it was going to happen. But certainly they've got to absolutely back him.
Lower, I think, would be fair, wouldn't it? Because you never know how low risk, but you can see why. You just try and tick a box, and he has obviously been here before. We won't spend loads on it. This is Glasgow, that's the way it works. Dundee United, they be disappointed in their offering today. Like I said earlier, there's no shame in losing at Celtic Park, and we all know the gulf and that stuff, but will they be disappointed?
Jim will be really disappointed. I think he's won 2 out of 13 round about that. That's poor for Dundee United. I thought they got off to a great start of the season. You're looking definitely top 6 the way they were playing. Jim had recruited, come in for a lot of pats in the back about his recruitment. There's 1 or 2 letting them down just now. They're really, really struggling. They took a real... you look at the possessions stats in the first half with Celtic, they absolutely ran all over the top of Dundee United, dominated it. So Jim's got a bit of work to do there at times.
Michael's and Rob Royston, what's your point tonight, Michael?
Hi there, thanks for taking my call, guys. I'd just like to make a point to Hugh. Hugh, have you changed your mind about Yang yet?
Oh, good question.
Before?
I applaud Yang. Back-to-back goals. He looks a far more adventurous player than he has ever done before. I think that I was not alone when Yang was in his early days at Celtic. He was poor, but he's coming on to a game, and he's a bright spark. There's been a lot of negativity since Wilfried Nancy got here, but Yang has become a bright spark for Celtic, and I applaud them for hanging in there.
I've got to say, Hugh, where I will back you slightly is, I've always thought there was something in Yang. He's starting to produce that, and I think he's been terrific in the last few games. My big question is, could Celtic get someone better in that position than Yang?
Oh, yeah.
Right, and I would probably say yes, but take nothing away from him. He's really playing his part just now.
Martin O'Neill can only pick what he's got, and he's clearly looking at Yang and thinking, there's something there, as you said, Gordon, and I applaud him for hanging in there. It's been a long shift for him, but he's now starting to look like a bright spark.
What about you, Michael? Where are you on Yang then? Should Hugh be fully changing his mind? Is there still work to be done?
Like Gordon, I've always saw him as a player in Yang. I go to every Celtic game, every home game anyway, and I've always thought there was something in Yang, and I just didn't think he got a lot of games. At the start of his career, played a lot of minutes, put it that way. So I think he's turned a corner. And maybe a request to his partner. I believe she's been over for the Christmas and New Year. Maybe she can get an extended stay, and maybe that's helped a wee bit. She's been over for on a holiday.
Yes, I've seen this theory before, that he performs better when his partner's in town, and if you think I'm putting that to Gordon Dalziel, you're dreaming, Mike. And Rob Royston. Gordon, it was his 4th goal of the season. Scored against Livy under Wilfried Nancy. Scored in that, probably what was Celtic's best win this season, maybe Feyenoord away.
Yeah.
What? In fact, obviously scored against Rangers last week as well. But for some reason, this website I'm looking at doesn't have that down, which is very strange because you can. I think everybody knows that, so it'll be his 5th of the season. But yeah, depends. Is he still got? What does he need to add? Is it about proving that consistently in big games, or he's the type of guy for the trenches?
Yeah, of course.
Being a real difference maker.
Mm-hmm. And in the last couple of games he's got goals. Look, when he came into his side at first, I thought he was very, very negative, and I totally agree with you. Listen, Hugh wasn't the only one that said that he's got nothing to offer, but I always looked at him and I thought, you've got good pace about yourself. I watched him in a couple of games and I thought, oh, here he comes, and then he dropped off again. But he's now starting to, with the goals, get that bit of confidence. He looks a threat. He looks to be direct. And I think what Michael's saying, correctly so, is he's starting to get a run of games, so he feels as an important part of the team, which everybody wants to do. But I keep going back to, if you're going to go up the levels, can Celtic go and get better than Yang? I would say yes now.
Michael, how was it to have Martin O'Neill back in charge?
Absolutely fantastic to have him back. He just creates a completely different atmosphere, not just in the team, not just in the dressing room, around the whole club. He really is St. Martin when it comes to me. I just think he's an absolute genius when he comes back. It's just his charisma. He just lights the place up, and it's just the whole feel-good factor was back at Celtic Park today after a dreadful 33 days under Nancy. And just on that point, I just wonder why on the 1st of January Celtic never signed a striker. They brought in a right back. They were desperate for a striker, and we're still not signed a striker yet. So a wee message to the Celtic board: hurry up and bring a striker in, because even a wee goal poacher today would have scored another couple of goals at least.
It's so difficult to strike that balance, because could Celtic do more in transfer windows? I think obviously should they be doing more again? Yes. But if it was that easy, as Michael said, every team in the world would line up a player on the 1st of January. Everybody would do it. Again, we've got to the 10th. Rangers have signed nobody yet. That's not meant to be a kind of, bringing Rangers into everything Celtic do, but I'll go through all the teams, if you like. It's just not easy. Everybody would do it, but you sometimes need... Now, if this happens on the 30th of January, it's a different conversation. But having a star striker lined up in the 1st, everybody would do it.
I always bear in mind the thought that if you have the surefire striker, why would you sell him in the first place? So
that's it. You're looking at somebody that it's not getting a game at a different level or whatever.
Yeah. So, but for the remainder of this window, Celtic have got to make a decent effort to get players in, players of quality. Martin O'Neill said it. The squad really needs supplemented. Martin O'Neill is staring at it day in, day out, and he knows that the squad is substandard.
I think it's a good thing that Celtic didn't bring in a striker, and the reason being, Wilfried Nancy might have brought in a different striker from what Martin O'Neill wants. Yep. And all of a sudden Martin O'Neill's saying that's not the striker, it's got to fit the way I play football.
Only a good thing if they do get one though, and get one.
Yeah, they've got to.
Let's hear from the man himself on another return to Celtic Park to take charge of the team.
No. I just get worried. I know. Yeah, and first of all, I'm getting old, and therefore I can't jump as high, and I'm frightened in case I fall down and embarrass myself. I haven't made a fool of myself on plenty of occasions, and and I'm jumping up, and then you've got a bit of studs in here, and they can maybe slide, and you feel a complete. I am hopeful that we are going to get some people in, but just when you think that something might happen, things change around. So listen, it's not me filibustering. It's just me feeling that until they're over the line. Yeah, I can't come up and say that it's happened, but we obviously need to do it, even just to give help to the boys at present at the minute, because this week, the week that's just gone in, was the only week that we have had since I've come to the football club. We have had a free week, So, and from here on in, we go right through now to I don't know how long, because we're going midweek each time. So there'll be no respite. And if we pick up injuries to really key players here, we could be in serious trouble.
It's vintage Martin, vintage Marty Supreme. I'm just a simple old man. It's comedy, but he's there for a very, very serious intention, and that is to try and get Celtic a league title at the end of what has been a chaotic season. So he does the light entertainment. Sean Maloney and Mark Fotheringham do the heavy lifting, and with the assistance of a club who need to give him high quality players in this window, that's the combination for Celtic going forward.
Great management. He's put all the pressure right on the board.
Yeah,
100%, and such a lovely way as well. You know, it's just the way he is. That's the way he operates. He's basically telling them about how many games key players can't afford to do it. Let's get players in here to help him go forward.
0141 951 1025. More managerial reaction to come. So let's get more thoughts on today's games, performances, results, and we'll nod to tomorrow as well. Rangers fans, how are you feeling about Pittodrie? We'll speak to you next.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Into the final part of today's Clyde One Super Scoreboard. We've heard from Martin O'Neill. Let's get some more managerial reaction. There's been so much hype around Motherwell. They were sitting in fourth. They will stay there because they went to fifth place Hibs and they got a point in the end. It was a good game, probably a fair result over the piece. Here's Jens Bertel Askew.
I think both teams felt that they've invested a lot of energy in running transitions back and forward. Two teams who were quite ready tactically, well prepared tactically on each other's strengths and weaknesses. So there was a lot of almost moments for both teams where we were good enough at, and that was massive for us today, and that's what I'm probably most proud of, the way we defended our own box from crosses and set plays against a team that's so strong in these situations and has scored so many important goals from these situations, able to close down a lot of their counter-attacks as well, and then us trying to break through with both transitions but also some really patient build-up play, especially on the right flank, some almost moments in the first half, and then obviously the moment in the second half which led to the lead, and then them coming back, and then you stood there, okay, we need to get something out of this and then see if we can accelerate the game a little bit with the energy we have left, and get when there was some counter-attack opportunities, and then a big moment at the end where I also have to praise their keeper and one of the defenders for getting in the way.
How does this affect your title winning chances?
I think Celtic have increased their gap today. But you never know, maybe see what happens tomorrow.
I think that's a terrific point. I really do. You go to Hibs in form, full house at Easter Road, always got to be a difficult game, take the lead, bit disappointed, 7 clean sheets at Fir Park.
Yep.
You just wanted another one of them, but you know Hibs with the threat and the players and the quality they've got. So for me, coming away from Easter Road today with a point, great result for me.
Would they both take it?
Yeah,
both teams.
I think they would both take it. But again, listening to the Motherwell manager there, obviously he's seen two teams that were wanting to win the game, which sounds as if it was a brilliant game for anybody at it. But yeah, I think when you sit back, both teams will be probably slightly disappointed they didn't win the game, but probably positive that they've taken a point away from it, because I think they're very well evenly matched when you look at the sides and what they've done this season. So yeah, listen, I don't think either will be too disappointed for today.
Mercedes Jens, is he Dutch? What
Danish.
Danish. Yeah, look of Arne, looks and sounds like Arne Slot.
He's baldy.
No, he just looks and sounds like Arne Slot.
Yeah, I think it was a good game. End-to-end stuff, as Jens Bertel Askew. You can almost hear it there, Gordon. I know all managers are interested in tactics, clearly. I'm not trying to be groundbreaking there, but he almost seems like he enjoys it when other teams put in a good tactical performance as well. And
I think that's his strength. I think all the tactical stuff and try to outdo each other in the dugout, and who's going to make the first move, who's going to counter-attack it. I think he gets so involved in the game, Gordon. It's well documented, and Andy works under him on this show regular, talks about how good and the depth of detail, and I think he admires the opposition manager doing the exact same, to go head to head. A terrific game at Easter Road today, deserved point each.
I was quite interested to hear from Stephen Robinson. I don't think that's happened yet. Any St Mirren fans, if you want to get involved and let us know your woes at the moment, please do. Let's get the first post-match thoughts of Neil McCann since taking over at Kilmarnock.
We're trying to find a balance of risk and reward, and I'm still trying to find out what this group of players are capable of. If you're going to ask them to do certain different things, adjust the shape, and I think they showed that they're adaptable and they're willing to do anything you ask of them. So yeah, I'm pleased that we got something from the game today. Yeah, and I think probably in hindsight, if I'm looking at it objectively, a point's probably a fair result. There's no question in my mind that Kabongolo should have been off the pitch. No question. I think anybody in this ground today knows it should have been off the pitch. Davy Martindale knows he should have been off the pitch. That's why he subbed him, because he knows he's not getting another one. But the big fella shouldn't have had that opportunity to stay in the pitch, because I've been told that the first one is reckless and deserves a yellow card. The second one is just cleaned out a player going through and a right promising attack. I don't know how promising it needs to be to have another yellow card. And then right after that, he goes right through the back again. And I don't understand how that's not the second yellow. So yeah, that went against us. It allowed Davy and Livingston just to make the change and steady the ship again.
I think he's right. I mean, not having seen any of these tackles, but
that. How do you know he's right?
No, because at the time you were describing it all to us, and that the Libby captain being called over by the referee. At that point, I say to myself, if you're having to call the Libby captain over to say you better calm him down, then you've let him off with it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're splitting hairs a bit, but in terms of, you take them off because you know they don't have another one in them. That doesn't necessarily automatically mean he should have been off, but if Neil McCann describes it, we'll all see it. If it's stopping a promising attack, you should be booked, whether it's 1 minute or 51 minutes.
Look, I'm sorry, I'm with the rest of the guys. I didn't see it, but if every player get booked early, every manager took him off, it just doesn't happen, right? You got to trust your player. But listening to what was going on time after time, the guilty party's there in the fact that David Martin decided to substitute.
No, but like I say, you can sub for a preventative.
Yeah, but not. Listen, you can have one tackle and you say, right, okay, he's got a yellow card.
That's what I mean.
It doesn't mean you say you're going to take him off, right? Yeah, I totally agree with you, Gordon. But obviously he's went again and he's again. Yeah. But we'll probably look at this tomorrow in the highlights, and I'll guarantee you most people will probably agree with Neil McCann.
Okay, let's bring in Billy. What do you think of the trip to Pittodrie tomorrow, Billy?
I think we'll do the same kind of job that we've done to them on Wednesday. I mean, even though we're minus Connor Barn, who, when I called up on Wednesday, I mean, to say that our midfield three was actually beginning to tick over nicely with Raskin, Barn and Diamandi, and I thought Barn was having the season of his life, you know what I mean? And then lo and behold, on Thursday, getting news that he's badly injured. But I can still see he's going up to Aberdeen and giving it to them again, you know what I mean? Because they could have played to 12 o'clock Wednesday night, not and still never scored. The three chances that they got were down to mistakes from Rangers players.
There's a tremendous, as you know, Billy, there's a tremendous consistency about Danny Rule in the Premiership. Played 13, won 10, drawn 2, lost only 1. At the same time, Aberdeen are looking for a new manager because Jimmy Tilleen wasn't doing a job, and the players in the park are not doing a job either for Jimmy Tilleen or Peter Leven. They were very, very poor. They had the 2 big chances at Ibrox, as you'll remember, but the attempts at finishing were laughable. I agree with you. I think what happened at Ibrox on Tuesday night will happen tomorrow at Pittodrie.
It should be a different feel though. Whether that is enough for Aberdeen to come out on top or not, no idea. But it should certainly feel different. It shouldn't be as controlled for Rangers if Aberdeen have got anything about them.
Yeah, Cammy will tell you, Pittodrie, it doesn't matter how bad Aberdeen is, Pittodrie's never an easy venue. Let me tell you now, it's one of those grounds and the surroundings, and Aberdeen have got massive support as well. Rangers will take up a good travelling. Look, I looked at Aberdeen on midweek and I thought they're spineless, to be honest with you. I thought they were weak, everything about them. I think they'll certainly be up for it with the home fans behind them tomorrow, but I do believe the form that Rangers are in, I think they've got enough to go up there and get 3 points.
Yeah, and also that Billy says, I think the chances Aberdeen had, it was from our mistakes. That doesn't mean to say those mistakes don't happen again tomorrow. There is still an openness at times to the Rangers back line, which probably should have been punished by Aberdeen. Rangers deserve to win the game, there's very little doubt about that. They felt like quite big opportunities.
Yeah, there's an element of still them mistakes creeping into Rangers' game, and you're right that there'll be a point where Rangers play a team that take them opportunities, and that can change the game slightly. But I think when you look at the game during the week where Rangers controlled it for huge parts of it, I think they'll be looking to try and do the same. It will be a different game up there because the expectation from the home fans will be different. There'll be a demand from the Aberdeen fans on their team to go and try and get a result. But I just feel as if Rangers are in a good place at this moment in time. They're churning out results and they're in confident mood. So I think they'll go and get a result tomorrow.
Billy, yesterday Danny Rule seemed quite confident, or at least open to the possibility that there could be new signings in by the game tomorrow. Do you still think that's a possibility now?
I don't think. I was hoping there would be, know what I mean, but I don't think so by now. I think, know what I mean, everything will happen by maybe Sunday night, know what I mean, Monday morning. Although, as I said, know what I mean, I'd love to have got one in for the midfield.
How big a blow is Conor Barron all of a sudden? I think maybe tomorrow as well, maybe the type of game that might suit him.
Say that again?
How big a blow is that Conor Barron injury?
Massive blow, because he was beginning to be our best midfielder. He was just, as I said Wednesday night, know what I mean, Scotland should take him to the World Cup, because fair dues, know what I mean, we've got a lot of decent midfielders, but we've not got a kind of bite your legs, waspy type player like Barron, know what I mean, that just chases the ball out of place until he gets it back.
Yeah, and again, that may be an area that tomorrow is a bit exposed just for this one game if the new signing isn't in yet. Yep. Because Barron would have played for sure. They're still looking for solutions in that area, it feels like.
Yeah, I think when you look at Conor Barron as a miss, I totally agree. I think he's been one of Rangers' best performers. I think the energy he brings, the bite, as he mentioned there, that he brings to the team, but he's controlled in what he does when he wins possession back as well. So for me, he's going to be a massive miss for Rangers. As I say, the last couple of games that I've seen them, I think he's had a huge influence on it and controlled that midfield. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who the new guy is that comes in that potentially will fill that spot.
I think that will be just about us. Thank you very much to Billy. He'll bring the curtain down in terms of the phone calls, so we'll do it all over again, or Andrew McLean will do it with you all over again tomorrow. It's a great day because actually, Hugh, it's easy to do it in Glasgow, but the league leaders are playing.
Yeah.
They're at Dundee, who are in form all of a sudden.
There were two objectives at Celtic Park today. One was to welcome back Martin O'Neill and a team that you could recognise. The other objective was to put pressure on Hearts and Rangers. Celtic have won 4-0. They've moved closer to Hearts, and that was the object of the exercise. It's now up to Hearts at Dens Park, who Dundee have won the last 3 in a row, let it be said, and Rangers playing Aberdeen. Can Aberdeen be that bad again? We'll find out tomorrow.
We will indeed. Andrew McLean and the guys with you 4 o'clock till 7 tomorrow. Make sure you're tuned in for more reaction from today. And then tomorrow should be Blockbuster at the top of the table. Really looking forward to it. So enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. First of all, I've got Just the Man. GBX is up next.
For the game this week. I want to hear what my mates are saying. I want to tell them they're delusional. I want to tell them who'll score first. I want to call the half-time score and the full-time score. And when our kid pipes up and says, "Want to bet?" I'll stop. Think about it. Check my limits. Check how much I've played. And maybe I'll think, nah, not today, mate. Sometimes the best bet is the one you don't make. Gamble responsibly. Bet Fred. 18+. Gambleaware.org.